Hello, welcome to the Humanity, where we do things with the stuff for the people. I am Matt.
And I'm Tommy. And happy Pride Month, everybody, because it's Pride Month. And
Happy Pride.
yeah, I guess in my brain, like I don't know why, but it just felt like one of those situations like, oh, I'm making like a big announcement for people. So I was expecting to hear like a big response, like cheers or something. But I was like, oh, yeah, I can only
It's just
hear me
us.
and Matt. So, oh, well. Yeah. So, yeah. So we figured for Pride Month, we got got some thoughts. I guess Matt was doing a little the YouTube research on just to see like what the Christian apologists are up to when it comes to discussing topics like sexuality, gender identity, expressions, and all of that. And it seems like he found some he found some interesting. Like I don't know, I
Yeah,
haven't watched these yet, so
I was just seeing what happens when you type in like trans apologetics or pronoun apologetics, which was really uncomfortable because I hadn't typed those in maybe ever.
yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
And then scrolling through, and I advise everyone don't read the comments on these videos.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. So,
Because it's a lot of
but
people being awful, thinking they're being amazing.
hmm yeah, but yeah. So we'll get to those videos in a little bit. A few other things first. First of all, speaking of different like social media posts and like the comments. For anyone who follows me on Facebook, I posted the other day. So we're here in Cincinnati, and our Cincinnati Museum Center, which is just an awesome museum center on its own,
Yep.
but they did their like a lot of other businesses, establishments, and groups or whatever doing their like Happy Pride Month post on social media, and and those are usually one of those don't look at the comments situations, but I actually will recommend that in this case because the Cincinnati Museum Center or whoever's like running their social media was going through and very politely but very like firmly in a oh thanks for letting us know you're a terrible person kind of way like responding to the comments. One of my favorites was someone just commented something like, "Oh, we need to boycott this place now," and they basically said, "Oh, well, if you're uncomfortable around members of the LGBTQIA plus community, then this is not the place for you." So I'm like, "That's fantastic." So, but yeah, like they had a lot of great responses. So yeah, I encourage people to look up the Cincinnati Museum Center and their Happy Pride Month post if you're looking for some interesting reading, I guess.
I always
But
think it's
yeah,
funny, like when a minority of the population threatens to take its money elsewhere.
right. Yeah,
You're
because
like, okay.
yeah, I believe the technical term is "by Felicia." Um, but
Like that would, yeah. I don't know. That could be terrible if you're Walmart or something. But um,
yeah,
anyway,
but yeah, and then I actually responded to this person too, also trying to keep in the spirit of like being like friendly sounding at least, but just telling the person, "Oh, great, because if people like you don't come, then that'll mean the museum centers will be a safe place for my friends. Thanks." Because if people haven't seen my shirt, I am the everyone's favorite token straight friend. So I enjoy that. And so do my non-straight friends, and I enjoy that they enjoy it. So, friends are cool. Anything else? Oh yes. Well, I guess let's get to our what we're drinking here, and then I got something else I want to address really quick before we get into first drink. But yeah, I
okay.
guess we don't have a stand. We don't really have the standardized. Like, do we actually introduce the drinks to officially start first drink, or do we introduce them because we're tired of not drinking, and then we get to first drink eventually? I still don't have us figured out, but oh
I
well.
think has to do with when we want to start drinking.
Sounds good to me. I mean, we are the ones in charge, so
But by
all
the way, let
right.
me know if you can hear the. I don't know what side the mic is on. So if you hear me rubbing on the pillow with the headphones, let me know.
Okay. Yeah,
Like
I'm
if
not
that
hearing
if that's getting
anything.
picked up. Okay, good.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm not, but again, if anyone in the chat, I don't, I suppose since I'm using the earbud, I would be able to hear better than
Probably.
on their TV or phone or something. But I don't know. But or maybe my hearing's just shit, and someone else should let us know. All right. So what are you drinking tonight, Matt?
Harborman ginger beer spicy again.
Ah, nice.
I had Aaron run back out and get me two this time because three was a lot of sugar. I was in too good a
Well,
mood to go to sleep.
that was very nice of her. So yeah, I'm still working
It
through
was.
the Sierra Nevada Torpedo IPA mix bag. So starting with just the OG Torpedo IPA. Um, yeah,
That one's still my favorite, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, I really do like the two I had last week. That seems like their names were kind of didn't necessarily like actually describe it. Just seemed like they just wanted to find interesting names. But the Electric and the I think Phantom was the other one of those. Those were both like
Mm.
really good too. A little on the lighter end. This one, like it's really strong on like the earthy like hop character.
I do.
But
I miss the earthy
yeah,
hops. People don't use them that
yeah,
much anymore.
yeah. That same with like their one of their other famous IPAs, their Celebration IPA. They make around like Christmas and the holidays. That one, like the character on that, it's actually very similar. Like that one's maybe like a little darker, but you can see like with the color, like good
Yeah.
amount of malt to this one as well. Hmm.
The
So yeah.
Celebration Ale is a favorite every year.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's my favorite Christmas beer. That the beer itself isn't really like Christmassy. Like it's not like the winter warmer or
Right.
any other style where they
Yeah.
add spices. It's just a really good IPA that they release around Christmas. And yeah,
Somehow it's still Christmassy, even though it's
yeah,
not at all a Christmas beer.
yeah. But I love and appreciate them for it all the same. Um, but something I wanted to address real quick. So first of all, apparently our episode last week discussing one of our, I guess, former favorite YouTubers, Derek Lambert of Myth Vision, claiming that he's leaving the woke atheist cult that apparently we might be considered a part of. I
It's
don't
all
know.
commercial.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
um,
convinced. Well, then he
yeah.
was. How did he really was? Cook was right in his comment. He really was just running protection for his friend.
Yeah. It was unfortunate, but so yeah. So anyone who is like interested in our take on that, yeah, you can go back and watch it. It is one of our longer episodes. And also, at least on YouTube, I think it's probably our most viewed episode yet. I mean, which isn't saying much, but
It
we've had
has.
videos like on the Facebook side that have had a lot more views. But it seems like recently, over the past few weeks, our there's been more on the YouTube side as opposed to Facebook, which I find interesting. But yeah, so but
We were thorough in that one. That's what. It's a little long,
yeah,
but we were thorough.
yeah, and apparently, like not to name drop, but I'm totally about to name drop. But apparently, Kip Davis thought he really appreciated our approach to it. So
Hmm.
I I took that as a huge compliment. Um,
Yeah, because
but
that's what I wanted
also,
to do. Is maybe not trying to speak for anybody who was involved, but maybe. Uh, maybe be disrespectful enough that in a way we're kind of saying things they wish they could say.
uh, yeah, that's I like that approach. That was very good of us. Uh,
Well,
but
I don't think we shit all over him or anything. He kind of shat on himself a bit.
yeah, I mean, I do, but with it being one of our most viewed, and also like this is kind of a big topic in the YouTube sphere, at least around like circles we run in, I guess. So I figured this would be one that a lot of people, if they know about us or heard of us,
Yeah.
would be interested in our takes. They would want to go see it. So I did it first, at least on the YouTube side. Was I went in and added like chapter timestamps just
Oh, good.
because.
It's long. Yeah.
Um, yeah, but unfortunately, like I didn't go too thoroughly with the chapters. It was really just like intro, like opening banter, first drink, Matt's back stuff, and then second drink the video, and then that was like 3.5 hours. So if you're looking for, so that's like, I'm sorry, folks. Like, I guess we maybe if this becomes like the point where this is big enough where we actually are making money on this, I will go to that much effort to try to parse like our conversation into
Well, I
like.
think we need 100,000 subscribers to start making money. Isn't that where it
I
is?
actually, I actually don't know. I don't think it's 100,000, but
It
yeah,
can't be
I
because that's
honestly,
stupid high.
yeah, yeah, I honestly have no idea what
Maybe
any
it's
of
like a
those thresholds are, but
thousand.
yeah,
Who
but so
fucking
I
knows?
guess yes, but also like so it has like the chapters, but it's only in the description. I think you have to have at least 1,000 subscribers before it actually does the thing where it like shows the chapters like in the timeline across the screen.
Oh.
So if people are wanting those, tell your friends, tell them to subscribe. We only have, I think we're up to 37 now,
I
which
think we need to start a pyramid scheme that like is obviously a pyramid scheme.
well, well, I mean, maybe really like play into that. Like this is apparently a cult angle. Like we can mix a like cult
Yeah.
pyramid scheme because they're similar,
But what if we
similar
turn it
vibes.
around where the
So,
person at the top then gives money back to the people at the bottom
ooh,
or in the bottom bracket or whatever?
mm, this could be interesting. So I
Because
guess
then
people,
you
if
kind of get a little bit of like what's it called, intermittent return or wins, which then like feeds addiction.
yeah, man, who knows where this could go? But if any of you are curious, hit
like,
smash that subscribe button.
like, is it
Tell
possible to
your friends.
slot machine of five socialism? Like,
Oh man, now I kind of want
that's
to do
a
this anyway.
that's how socialism comes to America right there. If
Mm-hmm,
we
mm-hmm.
can turn it into a near blood sport like football or something.
Oh yeah, one can only dream. But yeah, I wanted to add chapter markers into that just because I figured, I guess for people who would be interested, whether they're fans of the show or not, if they're just like browsing YouTube, if we come up and they want to see our take, just not that I don't think Matt updating us on his back is important, but I understand if a
Right,
lot of
but I can see
people,
how it's not important to everyone.
yeah, like if they're wanting to watch a video and like, oh, I want to see what they think, but then it's just like us talking about Matt's herniated disc and
That would
but
be
and
so. I kind of liked that though. Like if Derek was looking at it and like one of the videos that has like these nobodies actually have like I don't know, a fair amount of views, but then, like but it opens up and it's just about my back for like an hour. They're like, and still that many views.
yeah, that would be like kind of that would feel probably kind of like a slight. It's like, man,
Right,
like
right.
they're gonna address me like, but first they got to talk about his herniated disc for half. Oh, I kind of like that. That's
Yeah, like we don't actually care that much.
but we do care about the people who are
Right.
watching right now. So please show us some love or hate, whatever. Just hop in the chat. Let us know you're watching if you want. Like we're kind of fond of saying, like we understand, like a lot of people let us know. It's like we really like your show, but we don't necessarily want it to be public that we like your show. Because hey, totally get that, but yeah. Oh, but
Because I can
speaking of,
understand that, like, if you recommend somebody and then we say something and then they're like, "You recommended this to me," and like they said he was talking about a nurse wiping his ass and shit last time. That was
or that one time, like several months ago, where we just all of a sudden, for some reason, got like a ton of viewers on the Facebook side, and one of them, like, including your mother-in-law, and apparently right after she jumped on, I said something about like sucking god dick or something.
yes, you did. It was something about God fellatio. Yeah, yeah.
Did you
And
hear about that later? Or?
no, it
Okay.
didn't at all. I probably because she didn't want to be like, yeah, I jumped on and for a minute and I don't remember what you're talking about. It's like, it'd be really
Yeah.
awkward because then because if I ask her what she heard, like she's good. Yeah, I think she
Yeah.
knows. I can tell think she knows I can tell when she's fibbing or lying.
Mm.
She has an ADHD
Mm.
brain also.
Yeah. See, we know how to communicate with ourselves. Yeah, but so this is all the lead up to something I said I was wanting to address. There are a couple of things. One, and this is something I texted Matt like shortly after the episode last week, because like towards the end we were getting some interaction from a commenter who seemed to be like not necessarily getting like out of hand, but definitely on the more like antagonistic side. And but the comments, like they were typing like it almost seemed like
Yeah.
faster than a person in a healthy state of mind like should be typing. And we pointed that out, like, but like legit saying like, are you okay? Like, do you need to talk to someone? You got some things going on? But then later they said something about like, well, you guys clearly aren't okay or something like that. But for whatever reason, like that just like set me off. And
Well, after it was
yeah,
clear that it was not okay for the rules of the game here, uh,
yeah,
they doubled down on it, and
yeah. So
it was a
so I
kind of
ended up
gaslight people into having a mental illness kind of thing.
Yeah, so I ended up blocking the person, and I was telling Matt I was afraid that might come off as like a little hypocritical after us, like in a legit way, saying our like think there might be something wrong with you, but then like this person saying I think there's something wrong with you, and then some like block. So I mean, I went back and watched it again. It's like to me it seemed reasonable, but that's just to me. But just wanted to put that out there in case anyone else saw that and thought that was me being hypocritical or whatever. I don't know. Talk to me
No,
about
I
it.
think it was
I'm
fine.
yeah,
Also, it's fine to be hypocritical sometimes,
that too.
as long as it's
But
not a
there
way of
was
life. I mean, sometimes it just happens.
yeah, but also wanted to address something more recent, just in case this person is watching. But based on their comment, I kind of doubt they actually watched the video. But on my little short video that I made this past weekend about the phrase like Jesus understands my pain, this person made like a comment that I ended up blocking them for, basically saying how people don't really understand pain because it's nothing compared to what Jesus went through, which like that's kind of cringy enough, but they brought it to the point where of people actually
E.
doing like self-harm kinds of things and how that's completely unjustified because like whatever your pain you think you're going through is nothing. So all you ridiculous people doing certain things to yourself, I was like, that kind of thing is absolutely not okay. So
Right. That actually
I just
has a demonic feel to it. Not not to
yeah,
not to
that's
classify it in like a That's just the best word I have. Uh,
mhm.
like it's almost like they know the kinds of things that would, because that's the kind of stuff that would make somebody probably hurt themselves more.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Because it's like saying you deserve more, like that kind of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
That's like X
Yeah.
Files, like Satan was on Earth for a day messing around kind of shit. It's like, I've been
Yeah.
watching a lot of X
Yeah.
Files.
So like I said, so for the person like I said, based on your comment, I'm not sure if you even watched the video, but in case you are watching, if you're wondering like where'd my comment go and why, that's like I told it to fuck off. So
So they all went
and so just
away.
yeah, so just to put that out there, like I said, we try to keep things like we enjoy the like having like open dialogue and like a bunch of different points of view on the show, but there are certain things that we just have zero tolerance for, and that's like joking about or legitimately denigrating people who are going through issues like that or have done things like that, or also pertinent to the month, if like any like homophobic, transphobe, any kind of bigoted kind of
Yeah.
remarks. Yeah, no time for that shit. So, and there's probably some other things as well, but hopefully we won't have to come to that. So, everyone just
Yeah.
keep behaving yourself and feel free to disagree. Obviously, like
Yes.
we're not saying we don't want opposing points of view. Like even if you are someone who thinks that like being gay or trans is wrong, if you're willing to like present your case like in a respectful conversational way, I mean, I don't honestly
Like
with
like
myself, I don't
discussing
know.
the topic instead of denigrating the people,
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
using slurs um,
Yeah.
while discussing the
I-
topic.
yeah.
That would be over
But
the line.
yeah. So that's a couple things I just wanted to get out of the way. But speaking of people with opposing viewpoints to us talking about such issues, so Matt, you found some videos for us tonight. Unless there was anything else you wanted to discuss or
Ah,
get
we can
to
we can
before.
we can
All
move
right.
right on. Sounds good.
Yeah, I need to stop like introing a thing and then asking you if it's okay to go to the thing I just introed.
Mm.
One of these days. Oh, and also, if people may notice, I figured out how to do like different backgrounds in Restream here. So, and I really like this one here because it's not just like the pride flag that has like all like the different kinds of stripes and stuff in it, but I also love that it's bricks, which I think is a great like homage to like the original like
Ooh,
Stonewall and like bricks. You know, everyone remember Pride was a riot. So that's where
yeah.
it's from. All right, so tonight we have um, Sean McDowell, who I believe we've covered on the channel before, or at least discussed anyway. Oh, and also sorry, like see me swatting. Like my house has been like invaded by fruit flies because like my son likes to eat in his room and not empty his trash can.
Oh
So
yeah, that'll do it.
now, fortunately, it's mostly things like banana peels and orange peels and stuff. So okay, he's at least eating fruit, but just leaving the peels everywhere. And the fruit flies, you know, as their name would suggest, love that shit. Anyway, so if you see me like getting all cross-eyed or swatting at things, that's what I got going on. I got a couple little vinegar traps out, but yeah, we'll see. Anyway, so we got Sean McDowell, and then this other gentleman I'm actually not familiar with, Preston Sprinkle. Like Matt, do you know anything about this guy or what
Nope.
his deal is?
Um, totally sounds like I don't know. It totally sounds like somebody's stage name at a queer friendly bar.
It
Um,
does, and
I was gonna
he
say drag
kind of
queen, but that's not a feminine. It's not a woman's name. First names are women's names.
yeah, that's true. But at least from this
Nice.
angle, he kind of reminds me of like one of the main guys from like the latest like God's Not Dead movies, like the
Yeah,
guy
he
who's
definitely
like
has generic actor face,
yeah,
like Hallmark movie face.
yes,
You're
yes,
like, he reminds me, I think, of someone famous. That's every Hallmark movie actor.
mm-hmm. It's like yeah, they're the like yeah, like I remember watching.
And hold on, my
I don't
nose is
remember.
giving me such an itch.
Yeah, I don't remember why. I think it might have been while I was still married and the wife was watching a Hallmark movie. But there was this one actor on it, like he looked kind of like Kevin Spacey, but it was like the like we have Kevin Spacey at home kind of way, you know, not like a weird creepy we have him like tied up in the basement kind of way like that. But
Yeah, he's like dollar store Kevin
yeah,
Spacey.
yeah. Sorry if my mind was the only mind that went that direction with that and ended up taking all you innocent folks along with me. But hey, uh, guess it's just. I mean, you should just expect that by now, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say
So
it's kind of how the things go here.
yeah,
It goes from normal to I wish I didn't hear that pretty quickly.
which is why in the ending screen for the show, also like you know, by the way, designed by Matt, who also he designed everything like the logos and little overlays, the intro video, the outro video, and everything. That was all Matt. So I feel like I don't shout you out enough for that. So well done.
Well, I feel shouted out.
Also, also, he started making thumbnails for the YouTube videos.
Hmm.
Even for the episode he was in the hospital for and wasn't even a part of, he made a
Yep.
nice one for. So,
It was hard to get everyone's face to fit on there because certain grabs from the photos had cutoffs at a certain point, and so that yeah, and I knew it was gonna look like low budget janky anyway, so let's try not to get just like somebody like a head with like a sliver of shoulders just floating there. So I try
no,
to
but
hide
it
all
looked
that stuff.
yeah, but it looked good. So, yeah. So anyway, just wanted to point that out. So yeah, so let's get to Sean McDowell and Preston Sprinkle talking preferred pronouns, won't you?
Josh and Sprinkle.
But why don't you just clarify what you think about preferred pronouns and why?
Okay. Preferred pronouns. People assume they know what we're talking about. I do take the view that in
Do you know what he's talking about, Matt?
Well, okay, so they're talking to a Christian audience. So I think they're talking about the tension that people have when somebody's like, "My pronouns are this," just
Mm,
kind of nonchalantly, just informing someone, and then existential crisis happens for the
yeah,
Christian.
right,
Um, so yeah, it's that uh,
right.
internal struggle when the real happens.
All right, just making sure we're on the same page here. Cool.
many or most cases, I will use someone's pronouns, and we can get to the cases that maybe I wouldn't.
Whoa,
Let me.
But like, why though?
rebel.
Yeah, yeah. Well, see, he's got like the bad boy goatee and rocking the black shirt and
Yeah.
got his hair
What
doing a thing.
so what he's trying to do, what they're trying to wrestle with is like, do we use pronouns if the preferred pronouns? If we do, why? What's our reasoning? So this is like all of the mental gymnastics and faith gymnastics they're going through because they have that empathy creeping in, right? So they're trying to put
Mm,
that somewhere,
mm. Yep. Can't have that.
trying to figure out how to squeeze it in there.
That's
I,
what she said.
and it reminds me a lot of the mental stuff that we used to go through around topics like this. This wasn't
mm,
quite
mm.
as big a topic yet. It was starting to be, I think, when we
Yeah.
started to get out. I'm actually glad we weren't there for what was going to be coming.
Yeah. Glad we got out when we did.
I guess let me back up and say, first of all, I believe that biological sex is a binary. There is male and female.
Which is,
even someone with an intersex condition that's atypical features in one's male or female.
all right. No,
But the fact that there is intersex proves that it is not binary.
correct.
Because like binary, like at least from my understanding, I don't, if anyone else like knows differently, correct me if I'm wrong. But binary means there is literally only two options. Think of like computer like binary, like it's zeros and ones. It's like there's not like a stray 5 that slips in there every now and then. It's like an anomaly. No, it's only zeros and ones, and that's why it's a binary. The phrase I've heard for what sex actually is in animals is, or at least in humans, is bimodal, which means there are two categories that most people fall into, but it's like this like double bell curve kind of thing.
Or, there are some people in the middle. And what he just started to say about how it's somebody has what he's kind of what I think what he's kind of describing is in his mind it's the wrong plumbing on the right person. So like the person is fundamentally male or female, but they have extra kit. I think that's how he's seeing it. Which is not the case. And also he just described an overlap between the two. It's a binary. He just described a Venn diagram. But like for some reason people in the middle he gave them like a definitely one or definitely other for reals, but like it's just blurry.
Right. Oh. So,
And he also introduced the topic of sex over gender, which is what the preferred pronouns are about.
Right. Yeah. Also, how's it going, Nitty? Good to see you again. But yeah, good point here. They have to special plead and presuppose that the Bible is true. Evolutionary mechanisms are false. Yeah, exactly. Because the Bible doesn't say that God created humanity on a spectrum. He says He created male and female. So, but
and there's almost no discussion of gender. So like they have to go with sex. Otherwise, the Bible is pretty much silent.
Right, right. Yeah, but when you actually look at, the reality of the situation, and once we understand like all the science behind it, it's like, yeah, as Nitty says here, diversity of genetic expression explains all situations. Yeah, pretty much. Well put. And thank you. All right. Let's see what.
Hold on. Am I changing something?
Yes, you did.
God damn it. Stupid,
It's all right. You fixed it. Good job.
stupid iPhone app. Just trying to figure out how to make this thing full screen. Oh, well, I'll survive.
Okay. Well, that's good. Because we need you for the show. And you're my friend. But yeah, anyway. And you have wife and kids and stuff. But all right.
Male anatomy. Those two sex categories are not only true, but they are the most basic foundation of what it means to be human.
Well,
Again, I don't.
that's what we learned when we were like 2, when it blew our minds that like people could have like other things. When we're like,
Yeah.
right, everybody looks like me, everybody looks like me, and then when you find out like other people have
Mhm.
like just fundamentally different appendages or lack of, and yeah, that's just mind blowing.
Yeah. But another good point here. Yeah, if they don't collapse sex and gender together, their worldview collapses instead. And hey, we all know what's really important. Like we people are expendable when it comes to keeping the worldview. So even though their worldview is
Yes,
supposed to be centered around loving people, people be damned for the
yeah,
loving people goals.
save the world view at anyone's expense necessary, um, because this isn't the life that matters. The afterlife is the one that matters.
Right, right. But
This is just
apparently, at least from what I was
ambush.
told, like in the afterlife, we're not going to have like sex or gender. We're just going to be, but well, I guess it depends who you ask, like whether we still have like male female bodies
Wait,
in heaven or if we're just, I don't know.
so yeah, I that's what I've heard too. So what's happening then is that like the only place where you can have sex is Earth, right? And so then they
Hmm.
also want to say, wait, but you should have like it should only be for procreation, and the more funding you get, especially in Catholic side, like if you're having fun during sex, you're doing it wrong. You're having sin while you're having sex, and like
Mm-hmm.
it gets really weird. And how dare they? If this is the only place where you can have it, then like, oh, why are we putting so many limits on it? It seems like a really dumb,
Yeah.
mean idea.
Right. And also, it sounds like a lot of people who just don't know how to enjoy sex. But I kind of
Well,
feel bad for them.
there are people
But
who are asexual, and it just
there's that
isn't
too.
enjoyable for them. Which
That's
I think is
true.
where
Yeah.
a lot of people ended up in like the nunneries and the priesthoods,
Mm.
who are asexual. Uh,
Yeah.
probably
Yeah,
a
sorry,
lot of
didn't
the.
mean for what I said there to be like a slight on asexual people, but yeah,
Oh, no.
yeah,
No, yeah, I realized that it could have felt that way, but no, yep,
yeah,
nope.
yep, yeah, no, yeah, but yeah, but that phrase you said where like being like male or female being like fundamentally what it like a foundational aspect of like I think you said even like the foundational characteristic of like what it means to be human. It's like I don't think that's true. I think there are other characteristics about what it
Yeah,
means to be human, like things that classify us, like that have us like as mammals and like more specifically like in the ape family and but yeah,
really oversimplification.
yeah. But on that, Nitty with some more thoughts here. Blue eyes are what it means to be fundamentally be human. I bet he wouldn't like picking a characteristic to define what is human. Yeah. Or
Ooh, yep.
blue and brown eyes and other colors are not human. Ooh. Yikes indeed.
Yeah, but see,
So,
I don't know if they would. That's a good argument. I can't see them always going for that because in their mind, that's a choice, and so it's not the same. Like, oh, you can't choose to have blue eyes. So I could see them dodging it just by making it nonsense, even though it's not. By the way, I had a back pain incident earlier. I had to
Oh
recover
yeah,
from. So I smoked some weed, and that in
nice.
combination with the pain medicine worked well. But also, my brain might be a little weird tonight.
Well, I hadn't noticed the difference yet, so I mean, you
Okay,
probably could have
good.
not. Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably seemed normal to me, and for anyone else watching, I guess. But yeah, but all right, let's see what else he has to say about this.
And biblically, I might even say philosophically, but biblically, I believe that biological sex determines whether one is a man or a woman.
Right, because
Wait, did
the
he say
Bible
I think?
famously discusses the topic of biological sex all the time.
Wait, did he just say like biblically? I think like he.
Well, that's the thing. That's the way the Bible works. Like there, because when it comes to the Bible, like anything has to be. Well, I think the Bible says because first of
Yeah,
all, even when it is being clear about what it's saying, which is not as often as people think, it says a lot of different things. Like to quote Mr. Sean McDowell here, or at least his pronunciation of it, the Bible is not what he would say, how he would say univocal, which is how Sean thinks the
univocal.
word, which is how Sean thinks the word univocal is pronounced. Apparently, have you seen that? I've only seen it like in a
No.
clip. I think
Is he
like
trying
people
to
like,
sound smart? Did he hear a British person pronounce it that way, and he's like, "I'm going to do it."
or I mean, I also got to remember like to give the benefit of the doubt because I've heard it put like if you hear someone like mispronounce a word, that might just mean that they learned it by reading it and just have never heard it pronounced. Which okay,
Well, that's
I get
true
that,
because I can
but
see that not many people in his circle will be saying that word out loud.
yeah, and I know like other right, um, because they just assume they just think that goes without saying that the Bible is univocal, so which is how you actually pronounce it. So they just don't say it.
Yeah.
But again, Sean, he's one of those apologists. I remember a few years ago thinking like, okay, as far as Christian apologists go, he seems actually kind of okay, like a decent person ish. I mean, yeah, he's wrong on a lot of shit. But then the more I've heard him talk about like this topic in particular,
Yeah.
he's lost a lot of benefit of the doubt for me. So I'm other people may disagree, like going after people with more like ad hominem type stuff, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm a petty dick, and I don't mind pointing out when he mispronounces a word or something. But hey, I mispronounce things too. So if Sean wants to make fun of me for mispronouncing things, that's fine. I don't care.
I
But anyway,
I have a feeling that he went through some soul searching around the kind of contemporary contentious topics,
hmm
um, and where he landed instead of deconstructing was doubling down. Um,
mm,
and I don't know if he doubled down like just as a defense mechanism, and he just his deconstruction kind of stalled out, and he went like back into repression again, or if he actually, after thinking it through, realized he's like, I'm actually more of a jerk than I thought, and and
mm,
just
yeah,
doubled down on the harshness and the
yeah,
stringent attitude.
yeah. All right. Well, let's see what more they have to say. So also
Sprinkle.
like this is a bit like a longer video. I'd say like longer because like last week we did a really long video. This one for this kind of segment for us is a little long. It's about 13 minutes. Like me and Matt were saying, we may or may not watch the whole thing. We may
Yeah,
just like kind of go until we feel like okay, we get it. And, but
I
because we
haven't
got some
seen the
other
whole
videos to
thing.
get to as well. So
Yeah, because I thought maybe let him cook for a second, and then
mhm.
see what Josh throws back in, and then
I mean
uh,
Sean, yeah,
yeah,
son of Josh McDowell. So yeah, I
yeah.
could see where the confusion is there. So
Also, he seems
well.
kind of like Josh. He has a little Joshy face.
I have no idea what you mean, but yes,
Does he still
actually.
have that hairdo where it looked like he had like a haircut on a haircut? Where it looked like he had one haircut until like the middle front of his head, where it suddenly got a little taller and pointier.
Well, I don't know. I guess we'll have to keep watching and find out. But
Like biological sex is a fundamental part of human identity. God created us, Genesis 1:27, in his own image. And then he says in his Hebrew.
So does this mean God has a sex? It's got a
Yeah.
hermaphrodite. Because if we're made in his image, and we're both.
I mean, God's male but doesn't have a penis, like because apparently, like he's definitely masculine.
Yeah.
But then if you start talking about genitals, when it's God's
Yeah.
penis, they're really weird about that, and like
Right?
most people would either say he doesn't have one or it's blasphemous to even like consider it or something.
Yeah,
Because
they're
everybody
afraid
else is very important who has a penis and who doesn't.
Right. Even though apparently parts of the Bible do describe his penis, but we've translated it in English into other words.
Right.
Because also remember when Genesis and actually much of the Old Testament was written, that was back when their view of God like was like a very like physical, like had a body kind of being. So yeah, like God had a face, eyes, like he ate, he smelled, he heard things, he spoke, you know, he had feet, arms, legs, a penis, apparently. But
Also, this just occurred to me.
ooh,
If you mix milk and honey together, what does it look like? In your mind, imagine that. See? I don't know. Is that just like another dick product reference?
yes, dick product reference. We'll go with that.
It's a dick production.
I mean, it's how we all got here, I guess. But yeah, so
The Old Testament's weird, man. It's like
yeah.
I don't know.
But the whole
bunch of sex crimes and dick jokes.
right, but this is one of the reasons why, like, but nowadays, like, Christians kind of view God as like not having a physical body, at least for the most part. I've actually have talked with some who still think, no, God, it literally has a body. It's like, okay, I don't know how they think
Cool.
that
All
works.
right.
But anyway, but for those who say he doesn't, but they'll say like with people, it's like, well, if you're going to like say that you're a man and you want to be referred to as a man, but then you better have, you know, the right body parts. So like, you know, like sex and gender goes with certain body parts. You can only identify as this if it matches your body type or whatever. Well, like, well, if God doesn't have any of the male body parts, but they still insist that he wants to be referred to as he and him, then yeah. All the special pleading and double standards and whatever. But let's hear more about what Preston has to say.
Hebrew parallelism, male and female, he created them. So that being male and female, not just being human, not just being embodied, but being specifically sexed-bodied people, that is an essential part of how we bear God's image. You're
reading into it there, man.
Yeah, which I mean, especially like in like the Jewish cultures and like in which it was like written and interpreted and studied. Like, I mean, reading into it, I mean, you could say that's kind of what like things like midrash are. So, but the problem is when you have people reading into it or like eisegeting, you know, to use a big word, like reading into the text. Which it's fine if you understand that's what you're doing, but the thing is like they don't understand that's what they're doing. They say, "Oh, this is what it means to me," so therefore it's like this is what it means. So and then they say, "Therefore, base your life on my understanding of it." And my
well, they would say that it's the understanding, because wherever they are is the middle of the road. That's the clearest understanding of whatever it is. Anybody to left or right, they're extremists.
Pretty much. All right.
Every time, the few times, cross-sex identification is addressed in Scripture. It's some more directly, some more indirectly, but whenever it comes up, it is always confronted. It's not part of God's way. So in here, we're 100% in agreement.
I totally agree with that.
And this is where I very much resonate with the concerns that using someone's preferred pronouns, namely the pronoun doesn't match their biological sex.
What's that?
Get to the point.
Oh, sorry for pausing it.
Is affirming in them a viewpoint you don't even hold. So the
All right, and you would never want to affirm someone else's viewpoint if you don't hold that viewpoint.
Right. Why would you
Like,
want to affirm somebody else's viewpoint of themselves if you don't agree with who they are? Like,
yeah, it's like so think about this. Like, so speaking of Christianity and like how there are like so many different ways to interpret the Bible and basically just so many ways to be Christian. Like, I'm sure that there would be some Christians who, well, like I said, I don't know this guy's full like theology, like, or is he a Christian? I guess I'm kind of assuming he is, but
yeah, I think he's supposed to be like he's slightly boundary pushing Christian, but he's still
uh,
solidly a Christian.
yeah.
He's playing a
See,
role more than
but
anything.
as as so eloquently put by fellow YouTuber Apologia, like most Christians agree that most Christians aren't really Christians.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there are plenty of Christians out there who would look at this guy's theology, his beliefs, his stances, and say, oh, he's actually not a Christian. So how would he feel about, even though he identifies as a Christian and says, I'm a Christian, my preferred, I guess it's not a pronoun, but identifier or whatever, my preferred identity is Christian. But then if these other Christians refuse to refer to him as a Christian because of their worldview, like, how would he feel about that?
Yeah.
So,
Like if people refuse to treat him like a Christian because they disagree with the ethics of that.
yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe this
I
guy,
realize
if
it's
you're
not a
watching,
one-to-one comparison
right.
with gender identity.
Yeah, but I would think it's like in the case of gender identity, it'd be a case of even more so you would accommodate how the other person like identifies himself.
Yeah.
But especially if he's going to take the stance that like, you know, like gender and sexuality is so core to who you are as a person, then he's like, well, if that's how they identified, and that's even more core than apparently even identifying as a Christian. So, yeah.
Why would I use someone's preferred pronouns? For me, a lot of it comes down, there's several reasons. I guess the biggest one would be it comes down
Because that's what they fucking want you to do. That's the biggest reason.
Yeah.
And
he can't. You can see like his discomfort with the topic, even though he's pretty smooth and polished with his delivery and stuff. Like it's still slow. It's still gumming up the works. Like he would still rather not discuss this.
Yeah.
down to my view of the flexibility and complexity of language.
Yeah, but real quick, like talking about how it seems to be like struggling through this. Like this is one of those instances where like this is one of the problems that Christianity or like and probably any religion in some form or another does is like it makes you feel like you have to be conflicted and struggle with things that you really don't have to be conflicted or struggle with.
Right.
It's like it should just be as easy as like I mean, so like my son, like he goes by his middle name instead of his first name. But it's like if people like would refuse to refer to him by his preferred name because that's not your first name. People don't go by the middle names; they go by the first name. That's what it's for. And, yeah, but it's like, but like that has literally never been a problem because everyone just goes, "Oh, you go by your middle name. Okay, that's what I'll call you. Fine."
Yeah.
So it should be that easy. Like with all of this, if someone tells you their pronouns are he, him, like she, her, they, them, you know, whatever. I mean, I know there's others. I just can't remember them off the top of my head, and I don't want to butcher them or anything. But or they say, yeah, like this name's on my birth certificate, but I go by this name. Or it's like it. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, this really just should not be this complicated, but they make it complicated for themselves.
Well, he's about to moralize aspects of language. Like that. That's how he's going to parse this because trying to figure out. Well, okay, what does this really mean in language use? What am I really saying? trying to look for that easy answer somewhere. He's just digging for that easy answer. Like maybe it's in language. Maybe there's like where it's like, okay, well I can. This doesn't really mean that. It kind of means like can mean either gender, but yeah, I can't tell if he's looking for a way out or the easy answer. To be honest,
Yeah.
we could be getting
Language
near.
is, if I can illustrate it, it's shared.
What was that?
I was gonna say we could be getting near the point where we could be done with this.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah. Let me know.
Social space between people that might have different viewpoints. The language is that bridge that unites these two people in relationship, and yet the words they're using might reflect different worldviews. So I come up, this is me, and I meet Pam, and I say, "Hi, Pam. I'm Preston. I'm a Christian. Who are you?" And Pam says, "Well, I'm Pam. I'm a trans woman, and my pronouns are she, her." And I said, and I'm thinking like, "But Pam, you're clearly a dude." Like,
Okay.
I'm like, well.
What?
He started out all right with language being the connection between people. That's true. I thought he was kind of gonna go somewhere maybe all right with it.
Yeah, and like, really, does he really come up to people like, "Hi, I'm Preston. I'm a Christian"? Is that how he always introduces himself? Like,
And he didn't say like,
which I mean, thanks for the
I'm a
warning,
straight-
I guess.
He didn't say I'm a straight cis dude. Like, but
Yeah.
then the trans person just like Pam's like, "Hi, I'm a trans woman. My pronouns are this." It's like, I don't think you've ever had this conversation. I don't think this is based on any real conversation he's ever had. Like, this is him trying to.
Yeah,
This is him
it's
trying to
almost like,
imagine a conversation. Like he knows so little about them that like he doesn't even know how they conversate.
yeah, or this almost sounds like he's trying to make a conversation fit with whatever point he's trying to make.
Yeah.
So he has to mold it that way. But even that comment's like, "You're clearly a dude." I'm like, what the fuck are you even talking about? Like, I mean, yeah, Jimmy put it very well. Also,
What'd you say?
how's it going, Jimmy? Good to see you. This dude is a donut. I cannot disagree. So, but it's like, I mean, so what? Oh, okay, so apparently this Pam lady looks like a dude to you. Like, first of all, like, what does that even mean? You are clearly a dude. Like, well, apparently not. Like, well, if someone is clearly a dude to you, but they say they're a woman, then your perception is off.
Well, and it seems that the people on the right, conservative types are really bad guessers of gender, because they've been like there was a cis woman who was assaulted, beat up by like another shopper because she was using the bathroom and they thought that she was was male. And just while I'm thinking about it, there was another thing that happened where it was a trans man who, I think in South Carolina, where the law is you have to use your gender at birth bathroom. And so he went in and used the women's restroom and freaked out a bunch of women. They called the police. He was roughed up pretty good when they thought that he was like a cis dude in the bathroom, roughed up then. And then I think even more so when they found out that he was trans, and he got like thrown up against a brick wall and then searched against, like threw him against the cruiser. So bad the next day, like he didn't have feeling in certain parts of his body, probably because bruised so bad that there was temporary nerve damage.
Sorry not to interrupt that, but real quick, Jimmy says the video froze because the bullshit he was about to say would rot your brain. Like, did we freeze, or are you talking about like the pause in the YouTube video? Yeah, if we're frozen, let us know. But
Yes.
uh, but
'Cause I
yeah,
don't know how to
that
undo that if we
yeah,
are.
yeah. I mean, other than just like restarting the whole thing, but yeah. But Jimmy's doing good. Awesome. Glad to see you and Matt back at it. Love to see that. Oh, well, we love to see it too, and we love to see you here and every other lovely person who's here. Thanks a lot, Jimmy. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's and then there. Like I've even like you were saying, like yeah, so many stories of yeah, like I said, people who are trans using the bathroom of the gender they were assigned to at birth, even though like they've like fully transitioned and completely look like is to like most people would say they look like the gender that they identify as. Like so, yeah, you got these like super dude looking dudes like with like full beards and everything. Like, well, I was assigned female at birth, so they go in the women's room and everyone
Yep.
loses their shit because like yeah, I get it, but
And some
I mean,
some trans dudes are like big dude size. Like
mhm.
they've worked out. I saw a picture of one guy, and and it was somebody who lives in a state where they're gonna have to use the bathroom that they're like gonna get thrown out of so fast because women because conservatives are in the process of finding out they can't tell. For the most part, they can't tell, and
Right.
I think they
So,
won't know what to do with that. They were under the assumption that they could tell, and these bathroom bills would be easy because we can tell. Like that was always the thing they would do or
yeah,
say.
and that seems to be the like assumption that Preston here is operating under. It's like you can tell. It's like, because I've seen like some like dudes like they aren't even trans, but
He's leaving out the part where he was attracted to her at first until he realized she was trans. He's like, and I could
yeah,
tell. You could tell. Like he's
yeah, but I mean they're like some dudes like they aren't even trans, but they will just whether it's like in drag or there's this whole genre of metal that I discovered recently. I think it's really big in Japan. I think it's called something like visual kai metal or something, or maybe I may be butchering the name of it, but apparently that's a big thing. Like in the scene is like I guess like androgyny is like a big thing. So look up the band Jaluka Jiluka, and like watch one of their videos or something. Like their guitarist is a cis dude, but I guarantee you, if I didn't tell you that, you would not be able to tell because like the look that he goes for, he completely pulls it off and looks amazing, and he's an amazing guitarist as well. But yeah, so like it's yeah. Anyway, but so let's go back to Preston thinking he knows what's up.
Your pronouns should be he, him because you're a biological male. And Pam says, well, yes.
Wait, you actually said that to Pam? The fuck is wrong with you?
wow. Pam is super
Even in his,
tolerant in this hypothetical example.
yeah, even in his own hypothetical conversations, he's making himself be a giant asshole.
He's like,
like no,
don't you mean he, him?
it's like even in his fantasies, he's a giant douche. Like, fuck, man.
Many people use pronouns to match their biological sex. My pronouns match my gender identity. What's that? Well, gender identity is my internal sense of who I am. And I'm like, I don't agree with any of that.
Fortunately, you don't have to because it's none of your fucking business. And also, shout out to Pam for like not throat punching him by now. So.
Also, he said most people, the way he described Pam saying this, most people use it for sex. I use it to describe, my internal sense of gender, or, her sense of who she is,
Yeah,
which is who she is, and
right.
But I don't think that's an accurate explanation, which is why I don't think this is a real trans person even more now, because
Yeah.
like pronouns for since trans community is such a small section of the general population, Um, for most people, the pronoun also refers to their gender, unless somebody is trans but isn't out and is using pronouns that make them, feel terrible. Um, so yeah, it is for gender. People use it to indicate gender all the time. It's a normal thing. So there, when somebody's like, "I'm going to use it still for gender," but for who I know I am, and not to reflect who you think I am. uh,
Right.
yeah,
But
still the same thing, dude, Mr. Sparkles.
yeah. Sprinkle. Come on, get it right.
Whatever. You call him Mr. Sparkle because you'd hate it. You know he'd hate it.
I don't like that. I don't like gender identity. Well, it's a big deal for me, and the way I use pronouns, it matches my gender identity, not my biological sex. So I have an option here. I can either, in this shared social space, force my worldview and my language that reflects my worldview, which I think is correct. I think objectively it's correct.
Because of course you do. Now I may have been now seeing where he's going with it now. I may have been a little too hard on him, but I kind of doubt it because I think he may bring it back into that territory where I'm being adequately hard on him. But it's almost like he's like presenting that. Well, this is what I would think at first, but now I'm kind of rethinking it. But I still have the feeling he's not going to come out on the right side of this.
Yeah, because this feels less genuine than his. Oh, Pam's a dude. Clearly, that felt like the more real him.
Yeah, and but I know what's right. Yeah, that felt like him too. But yeah, we'll see where Mr. Sparkles goes. I'm going to call him that now too. But maybe hypocritical, especially given the topic. But he's earned that. He's earned my hypocrisy.
I could either force that on somebody else and demand that they use language that reflects my worldview, or I can accommodate to their use of language. And this is where I'm going to say I resonate with somebody who says, no, I'm not going to accommodate. I'm going to use language that only reflects my worldview because
Why would you resonate with that though? Like that?
Didn't you just describe that as forcing yourself?
Yeah.
He described it using a claw motion over a pointy thing. That was just really weird. He's like, I'm going to force my worldview, which I will demonstrate by hand, claw, and penis finger. Like, nothing Freudian to see here.
Nope.
I disagree with their worldview. And I'm going to resonate with kind of maybe their concerns there. But I take a position. I think there is some gray here. I think Christians, there are cases when we do accommodate. And so, I'm going to step in and out of an accommodation to where this person is currently at in their journey, I'm going to use the pronouns because they actually do factually match their gender identity. I can disagree whether pronouns.
What is happening? Is he saying things that he doesn't even believe?
I want to back him up because I distracted myself and forgot something he said here.
Right here, I think Christians, there are cases when we do accommodate. And so, I'm going to step in and out of an accommodation to where this person is currently at in their journey, I'm going to use the pronoun.
That was it. With him calling it, just where they're at on their journey. It's like this, like, it's basically like saying, well, this is just a phase. Like, that's what that sounded like to me. Am I wrong there?
No, but it is also entry-level progressive Christian language. Like somebody who's about to go progressive Christian would probably be talking about something like this in this way. Calling it a journey where they are on their journey instead of like saying like it's just because they're bad. You know what I mean? one has more wiggle room and gray area and flexibility than the other.
Yeah, I guess.
Still, the it's still the problematic. He's still being the same, but he's using language that comes across softer.
Hmm.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, you can see that.
Pronouns, because they actually do factually match their gender identity. I can disagree whether pronouns should resonate with gender identity. I can disagree with gender identity as a philosophical concept, which I've got many problems with
Oh,
that.
it's not
Sure.
a
Yeah, we
philosophical
talked about-
concept. It's they've been doing research on it. There's actual science now. Like it's to back up what gender fluid and trans people have been saying like for forever. Like now we actually have science to back it up that says, oh yeah, like you can totally have like physical structure of of one sex and then or gender, and then you have your hormone balances could be indicative that and more in line with the other with a different gender, and yeah, it's all real. It's all real,
Yeah.
and there's research, but you still got to
Yeah.
hang on to the philosophical thing because that's just scientists being evil and bad. It's just a propaganda machine. Everybody's in on
Right.
it.
Right.
It's
But
not
apparently this
possible
guy's
that it's reality at all. It's all a smokescreen.
But apparently this guy's an expert. I have no idea what his actual credentials are, if he actually has any. But I'm assuming, based on what he's been saying, he's obviously an expert in all the pertinent fields here. I can only assume.
Incorrect.
Otherwise, why would he be talking about this? That's ridiculous, right?
No, I think that's incorrect. I think he's probably just a pastor or a speaker who has done more reading of books on the topic than other pastors. That's probably
Only slightly, though. Only slightly.
yeah.
About that.
Yeah. So it's not about agreement or disagreement. So I'm going to accommodate, given the flexibility of language, the complexity of language, a shared social space, not because I agree with what they're saying. Now, if they turned around and said, if Pam, biological male, says, well, do you think I'm a woman? I have to say no. I'm not.
Do you, though?
Well, I mean, if he doesn't
I mean,
think she's a woman,
yeah, I mean, I guess if he's being honest, like, yeah, for him,
Yeah.
that probably would be the honest answer for how he sees it. But
this phrase
Yeah.
he keeps using, biological
Yeah.
male and biological female, these are nonsense terms. There's nothing. It scientifically means nothing. There's no definition of those words. So it's basically open to the person who's using it. What makes somebody a biological male or a biological female? Is it just the genitals? Okay, but that's not. That's anatomically. Anatomically, is that how you say it? I haven't used that word in forever.
yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, anatomically, male or female, from external appearances, based on the person with the eyeballs looking. That is just one classification. But what you'd also have to, if it was a real scientific term, it would have to include the full range of what determines someone's gender. There's just from what I understand, I could be wrong. I'm not an expert.
At least you admit
Psychologic.
it. Yeah.
There's like the psychological sense of who they are, and then there's like body chemistry stuff, and then there's anatomy stuff, and there's probably some other stuff in their chromosomes or whatever. And even then, because it's a grouping of things, and like you just pull out one of those categories of information, and one of those categories could indicate something the other categories don't. So then, is it like best 2 out of 3 with the information that determines somebody's gender? Like,
Yeah.
It's just a word that like people on the right and conservative Christians think they know what it means. But it's kind of like using the word Jesus. That means something different to all of them, or God, or Holy
Yeah.
Spirit, or whatever.
Hmm.
So it's
Right.
it's flexible shared vocabulary that makes people comfortable and makes them feel like they're talking about something solid.
Yeah. It
I
gives
don't
them
know
the
if he's
feels,
gonna
I
go
think.
anywhere more special. Do you?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I really don't know. But we do have other videos. So I guess the question here is, so we're going a little over an hour. Do we want to try to squeeze more videos into like the first drink, or go to like the second drink? And if so, do we want to keep with on the same theme, or switch to like the Fox News video, or
Um,
what are you thinking?
let's do a little bit of a palate cleanser with Frank Turek. I think. How long is that one? Is that just a few minutes?
I don't know if I've ever heard
Right.
that sentence before. So the Frank Turek one is 4 minutes, but
Nice.
the Frank Turek and Greg Kokel is also 4 minutes. So
Okay. Uh, I think I remember the Frank Turk and the Cokel video having a lot more. It was like boom, 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 more to work with. The other one is Frank kind of answering somebody's question. So let's try the Greg Cokel one.
all right,
See if we can
please.
get through that.
All right. All right, and I think it might go a little something. Well, first, I guess to set it up a little bit. So yeah, this is Frank Turek with Greg Kokel. I think Greg Kokel, he's someone I think I actually covered with Jimmy 2 weeks ago. Also with Frank Turek, if I remember correctly. So, yeah. Palate cleanser, yeah. Yeah, sorry, Kip. Also, welcome. Good to see you out there. But yeah, palate cleanser, it's a relative term.
Yeah, I mean, this was kind of bland. Like this, the first video was a little bland, a little boring. I remember when I watched this, I had it on like the one and 1.25 speed because I swear they're talking for like old people in this last video we just watched. It was real slow.
Yeah. Now, or maybe I guess it depends what you mean by pallet, because I'm thinking, okay, if you're thinking like an actual like a wood pallet, like that you like store like various goods on and transport with the forklift, like that kind of pallet. I'm thinking, okay, a pallet
Right.
cleanser, like you need something like pretty strong
Right.
and
Okay.
astringent and abrasive to clean
Yeah,
one of those off. So I
we
think
could go that route with it.
in that sense, yes, Frank Turek and Greg Kokel definitely
He's an he's a caustic
qualify.
floor cleaner.
Yep. This will disintegrate your palate for fuck's sake. All right. Well, with that in mind, fuck me. Let's go.
When people ask you for your preferred pronouns, don't give the pronouns that match your sex, because
Is
Well,
this the beginning?
yes, that's how we start.
That hurt.
Like I
That was
kind of
so
want to
rough.
I kind of want to clip that. Like, oh, Greg Kokel says don't use the pronouns that go with your sex, at least by what they think. So, yeah. So everyone be gender fluid. Greg Kokel said so, I guess.
you're then saying these are the pronouns I prefer. I just happen to be cisgendered, so I prefer he and him because I'm a male. But
And we all know, like, Christians are not allowed to have preferences. That's
Well,
just
it indicates that you have it's on a spectrum, right? I prefer these, but there's others. I think that's what
right.
like you're indicating there's other options.
Yeah. So, yeah, Kip's leaving me hanging. So he had a
Oh yeah.
apostrophe. Yeah. The suspense.
Let's let him go and see what happens.
Let him cook.
now you're playing into the narrative.
Sure.
Instead, respond, I don't have a preferred.
I love playing into the narrative, like the narrative being someone asking you, "Hey, what are your preferred pronouns?" It's like, again, it's like they can't just view these people as just people. like living their lives like this is all, everything's a narrative and an agenda, and like, ooh,
It's all a big
Cool.
conspiracy.
now this I have not heard of this. I don't know if this is like one of them like fancy Canadian things that you all have up there, but a craffle or croffle. Croffle, I guess, would be the way to pronounce, but it's a waffle made with croissant batter. I have not had that, but
Whoa.
I'll do you one better, maybe. Actually, I can't say if it's better because I haven't had this. I guess for you to decide. But get like like the canned like cinnamon roll dough and put those on a waffle iron.
Son of a...
Oh, so good. It like made Mac's camera have a spasm. But yeah, cinnamon rolls on a waffle iron. Have those. I don't have a fun name like Croffle for them. Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway.
It's like stomped rolls.
Stomped, yes, very particularly stomped. All right, but let's hear what this this whole narrative and agenda that people are trying to force on you, and they're just asking you what your preferred pronouns
What is stock footage woman? What's she doing?
Yeah, and how is she upsetting this fucking snowflake of an apologist here?
Preferred pronoun. I have a sex. I'm male, for example, or female, and that's a way to kind of state that. And now you're kind of taking a stand. You're planting a flag a little bit, but they've asked you for what your view is, and that's their ethic.
Yeah. Also, welcome, Maya. Yeah. It's a good story, but yeah.
So he said. So his deal is he doesn't have preferred pronouns. Like if somebody says what's your preferred pronoun, he doesn't have any.
Yeah, he was just like, no, this is just what I am. He's like, yeah.
So they could call you whatever they want if you don't have a preference.
Their ethic is we should let people be themselves. And so you're saying, okay, I'm myself.
Except you, Mr. Christian, you can't be
That's
yourself.
right. Well, that's the way it plays out. It's a one-way street.
Right.
But here's how I'm.
He just had this
victim.
He had to stick that. Just had to slide that in there real sly. Like, didn't even use any lube. Just like jammed it.
I was waiting for Frank to talk, right? He hadn't said much the whole time except and he's like, "Oh, but not even the Christians," and he's just like, it's always yelling. But not even the Christians, right? Because everybody hates us.
Yeah, he just can't help it, man. So I have been looking for a new life-changing experience. I may have to, because my daughter is quite the little chef. I'm sure I could convince her to whip up some croissant dough.
Yeah, that wouldn't be hard.
Put it on the old waffle iron. I don't know what that means, but I'm intrigued. All right. Oh man. Oh yeah. So where were we? Oh yeah. Back to Frank's persecution complex.
How I'm going to play that out in a conversation situation. I'm going to say that I'm going to ask, do you think the pushback is we don't want to use preferred pronouns with other people, okay, especially if they don't match their gender, all right, or if they don't match any gender. Match their sex or any sex. That's all crazy stuff, gender.
All that crazy stuff.
He's tripping up.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and also, I was about to say speaking of me drinking something, but I actually wasn't speaking of. Except I am now, I guess. Like for those just joining us now in the chat, like we like to talk about what we're drinking here tonight. So if you're enjoying a beverage, let us know. Or if you prefer not to, I understand. Like, it's like, am I being detained? Like, look, it's okay. If you require a warrant for. All right, but so buddy Jimmy here, less than half of 1% of the U.S. population are trans people. Why are these two dickwads even worrying? That he clarified in a later comment. Worrying about this dumb shit. I don't hate Christians. I hate shitty people. Right?
Yeah.
Now, yeah, I mean, I guess I get where you're coming from, Jimmy, as far as like it being such a, but even like if it was like a large segment of the population, like, so, and I know Jimmy, like probably agree with this too. But it's like we were talking about with the previous video. Like when people introduce themselves to you, just say okay, and then refer to them as that. Like this again, this is what religion, in this case specifically Christianity, does to people. It's like they feel like they have so many rules and like hedges and restrictions on just being a normal fucking person.
Yep.
Gender's flexible. No, it's not. Your imagination is flexible. Gender's not flexible. You don't get a
because like Greg Kokel, he's a biologist, except actually checks notes. No, not at all expert in any relevant or pertinent field. But hey, that's what they teach in apologetics. Don't let ignorance get in the way of being confident.
You could tell he thought he was being real witty there, the way you said that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, just look at that look on his fucking face right
That's
there.
what you call a shit-eating grin.
Yeah. So this is something I forgot to talk with Matt about before the show tonight, because I was thinking, okay, with this being like Pride Month, and especially now with our channel apparently getting a little more traction, especially on the YouTube side of things, it's like, are we going to want to approach this at a more like maybe like level-headed, a little more like not as acerbic, I guess to be the term, like to try to make this a little more palatable, to tie in as many words as I can from previous conversations there. So like something that we can like, people can like share with their Christian friends and be like, oh, well, this is a nice conversation. But I feel like we've kind of that ship has sailed, because even if we had set out to do that, I just had to feel like these people, man, they put you in a mood. But
That's just we're the angry woke. Cult.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's what happens
ourselves.
when you're in a cult. This is just how you act. But yeah, but as Jimmy says, the kind of reaction these two jackasses have towards the issue is childish. Period. Yep. So I mean, I guess we're only responding in kind. So, but that's treat others the way they treat you, or you want them to treat you, or whatever. That's eye for an eye. That's biblical.
But normally, I think what people do is they treat others the way they expect to be treated, and then you get your own like personal baggage wrapped up in it. At least that's. So then you can be a little self-protective, and then it's okay because,
Yeah. But also like I must admit I'm still, forgive me, I may like be like fanboying out a little bit, but still my brain is trying to process the fact that like Dr. Kip is like watching and commenting, and like I was so like can't even find the words right now, but it's like so out of my head or whatever. Like can't believe I forgot to like wish you a hatikva, my friend. Little inside joke for fans of Kip, but yeah.
I'm not in the know.
How dare you?
I'm unaware.
It's unfortunately it's not something I can explain quickly, but it's funny,
sense.
and it involves Wes Huff being ignorant about things. So it's all good times.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Wes Huff.
Anyway, back to this.
Assigned. You don't assign, pardon the reference here. No one assigns, no doctor assigns a penis or a vagina. That's part of the basic equipment. Okay.
Right.
It's the.
Well, but here's the thing. Like sometimes they actually do have to do that, because like some people are born with like very ambiguous genitalia, and they literally do have to. Well, I guess they don't actually have to, but it's just the way things are set up. Like
parents often will, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes they actually do, Greg. But for better or worse, but
it's the structure of reality. But we're getting pushed to go along with a narrative that.
Yeah, but also, I also want to touch on that whole thing that people like talk about like biological sex and like basically saying it's all about the genitals, but like anyone who actually knows about, if you want to call it biological sex or the way sex actually works, like in human bodies and like other animals too, I'm sure. But it's like there are so many different factors that go into like how a body is formed and like what parts it have, what those parts look like, how formed and developed they are. Because like other people will say things will go back to the level of, well, if we have a Y chromosome, you're a man, and like that's it. Like even though it's like they think the Y chromosome is just magic and it just like automatically grows like a penis and testicles and like makes you not develop breasts and you grow facial hair or whatever.
Yep.
But like no, like the Y chromosome is just one step, like one piece of an incredibly long chain of things that have to work together. So I think it's called androgen insensitivity or something, where like there are people who like identify as women, and you know, to use the term, if you just look at them, they look like a woman, like they have the what you would consider like typical female body type, but they have a Y chromosome. It's just that like I don't remember the exact steps or whatever, but somewhere along the line, whatever the Y chromosome would normally interact with to grow what we would normally consider a male body, like that part just doesn't happen. And like to the point where like there are women with Y chromosomes who can like without assistance, like completely naturally get pregnant and give birth. So yeah, so even like saying, well, you have these, so if you can't even put it there, like it's also like not just at the genitals, and so yeah.
I feel like they're stalling for time in general. Like their whole side of things. Like, do they think this is going to go away? Do they think they can
Mhm.
beat it? I don't.
Yeah.
Are they
Oh.
hoping Jesus comes back before they really have to wrestle with it?
Right. That's what it seems like. But oh yeah, so people didn't notice, like in my trailing off earlier, it's because I completely forgot where I was originally going, but I just remembered. All right, so when talk about like the genitals and say, well, that's what defines it. But the thing is, like things that I've read, like in transgender people, there's actually like a difference in like the way their brain is like literally structured. Like,
Yeah.
and again, I don't remember the specifics. Like with anything, like please look this up for yourselves.
Tommy
Really
is not a
fascinating
doctor.
stuff. No. But there's something in like the brains of a trans person. So say if someone's a trans male, there are these certain structures in their brain that actually are more associated again with what we would consider typical male brains. But even though they were born in like assigned female at birth, and maybe other parts of their body, like in their chromosomes or their genitals, that most people say, oh, that's a woman, but there's a structure in their brain is more male. So that's the way I like to put it is, okay, when you're talking about who you are as a person, like which, I mean, not that you can really quantify this, but again, to these people, like I would ask like, okay, what is more fundamental to who you are as a person, your identity, like your crotch or your brain? Like,
Well, it depends who you ask.
right? Yeah, but I mean, I would think most people would say like your brain is like closer, like whether you're like naturalist or idealist or whatever, however you think consciousness and the brain works. But like it seems like the brain is like a pretty important piece of like who you are as a person, as opposed to what you got going on under your pants. But
It would seem
but
that
apparently,
way.
according to dude in the previous video, it's actually no, your biological sex, that's more fundamental to who you are as a human, not your mind or your brain or whatever.
and therefore pronouns.
Yeah, it's like, it's like these people have to say such bizarre shit in order to keep their worldview. It's just, I just couldn't anymore. That's why I left.
Yep.
That is against our views, but it isn't just against our views. It's against the structure of reality. It's full.
According to your view.
Yeah. It's against our
Yeah.
structure of reality.
Foolishness, and it's not good for the people who are pursuing this individually, gender.
Oh god,
Yes, that's the other thing. Like,
I hate it when they say that because it says you. Listen to them.
Yeah.
Listen to their doctors. No, you're wrong. Like you
Yeah,
really
see-
haven't had an open, vulnerable conversation with a trans person because
no, you see, because these guys are Christian and they got the Jeebus in their hearts. Like they know all the everything, including what's true about other people that they may or may not have even met, or maybe just started talking to. They're just like, look, we have the truth because the Bible is in fact univocal. Just like our buddy Sean McDowell would say.
It's like
And
millions of people in one
and it's
section of the world over millennia have decided this is how it is. And now we're very far away and very much in the future, and we're still looking back going, man, boy, did they have it all figured out. Surrounded by shit
right.
they wouldn't know what to do with at all. Like just technology and just
Mm-hmm.
uh, women in
Yep.
pants. Just like, do you know how many tribunals they would have?
Oh man, I feel like that would be like the starter for like if we did figure time travel out and we brought someone like from the distant past to the future. I feel like we would have to work a
Okay.
system where we bring them to the present, but we bring them like to like a very like secluded room like before we expose them to the world, and basically like have to give them a presentation essentially first, like starting with, okay, we're going to
You
start you
gotta,
off slow and then just show them a picture of a woman in pants. Like, okay, this, like, look, it's only going to get harder for you from here. But
yeah, womp, and and,
yeah,
because then they gotta move up to like women in bikinis, and then like women
yeah,
in bikinis, and like just
yeah,
like it.
yeah. So it's like, yeah. But as Jimmy says here, like to put the things in perspective, like I still don't understand how a trans person stops these two twits from going to church and living their lives. Fucking pathetic. Yeah. It's like, how is a trans person being trans and having their pronouns that you don't like? It's like,
It's because them being around and being
yeah.
okay being around
Mm-hmm.
crumbles something so like crumbles a basic learned truth. Like,
Yeah.
because you learn about, at least we did growing up, um, boy girl. Like you like learn about that. It's one of the first concepts of the world you learn about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because being openly trans was not a thing that was welcome for most of our lives up to this point. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Especially their lives, they've been alive a lot longer, so it's much more ingrained, that concept of reality. And now somebody's
Yeah.
asking them to question something that's been something that they have held as just a fact since they were like, I don't know, 2 or 3, whenever they first grasped it,
Mm-hmm.
um, or realized that there's differences. Uh,
Yeah. But
so
you know,
I get it. It's hard, but then coming up with these bullshit reasons to argue against it and why you're okay hanging on to something that was an imperfect worldview or an imperfect concept of reality.
yeah.
Uh,
No, yeah, because you see, Matt, like everyone knows, like the basic concepts that are introduced to toddlers
right.
are the most accurate depictions of how reality actually works. I mean, come on.
If you can't fit it in a children's Bible, it's just not important.
Oh, and oh, the things they still try to fit in those children's bibbles. Yeah,
Like
like
like the
Noah's
biggest
Ark, and
genocide in world history.
right,
It wasn't
or
even
like,
a.
or God didn't just kill almost everyone, but He drowned them, which is like one of the most horrible, painful ways to die. It's like, let's do that to the children. It's like,
And the aminals and all the plants that can't live in salt water.
and we'll have children color pictures and sing cute little songs about it.
Oh,
Anyway,
and you won't be able to grow things afterwards because of all the salt water on all the land.
yep, yeah, like you know
It,
how like
but it'll
people
be
used,
fine.
yeah, and you know how people use the phrase like "salt the earth," like this say
Yep.
like so like nothing will grow. Like God literally salted the entire earth.
Yeah, but as long as you
uh,
got the Nephilim and you can now eat animals, um, and
mhm.
I don't know, I guess boink your dad in the cave. I guess Like, what are the selling points here
Hey.
with the new world that was created?
Yeah, it's that's some things.
Dysphoric people. And so, but why do we have to do that? Because we have to be nice. We have to, it's people should be authentic. You do you is their idea.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is what they believe about themselves, we need to support what they
Well, my
personally
authentic
believe.
self,
To be-
Greg.
Well, my
Yeah.
authentic self. Also, keep in mind that
Well, your
that,
authentic self can go fuck your authentic self. How about that?
I don't know if it was before or after this, 'cause I don't know when this was recorded, but Frank did have breast reduction surgery. He had top surgery
yes. Mm-hmm.
to because he didn't like that he had breasticles, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was years ago, I think. Yeah.
oh, okay, years ago. So yeah, so he's had a lot of time to think about this now, and he's still kind of
Yeah.
slamming on the gender affirmation stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I saw like a clip in one of his like live events where he was doing a Q&A. Like someone actually like pushed him on that. It's like, hey, I know you had this procedure. There was like a name for it. I don't remember what it was. But like, we had this procedure for this condition. It's like, that's gender affirming care. And he like kind of got like a little flustered. Because I mean, I can see like someone just bringing something like that up.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like despite like whatever context, like, yeah, that's a bit jarring. Like if you have some like very personal medical procedure in the past and someone at a live event just like brings it up and like, oh, so I could see him being
Right.
a little, but
Yeah.
then he went on to, oh, but you see, but that was okay. And all the stuff the other people want to do isn't because reasons. So
that's when I think like phrasing the question in a pointed way could be useful, or you could ask a question instead of how do you reconcile that? Say, remember when you used to have titties and you didn't want to have them because you see yourself as a man? And like,
Mhm.
well, okay, same thing.
Yeah, but see, Frank, you got to like use the body God gave you, Frank. Like, so you also shouldn't be wearing glasses, but or cutting your hair or shaving. I mean, yeah,
I think the problem was also didn't he used to wear like those stretchy like golfing polo shirt things. Yeah, like that's not flattering.
yeah,
When you've got the issue of the heat that
yeah, yeah. Which
a lot,
and,
a lot of men as they get older have.
right, yeah, because like the thing is, like, I'm totally supportive of Frank having that procedure. Like,
Yeah.
if that's what he wanted to do. Like, yeah, but the problem is he's not extending that understanding to other people. That's the problem.
Right, because see, because deep down they really don't like that trans women look a lot like cis women to them. They don't.
Right?
They don't like
Yeah,
that it checks too many boxes in their attraction list. And that's the
because
problem.
that's been something that's brought up a lot with a lot of people who are like transphobic, like in particular, where it seems like maybe the underlying issue is really like they're afraid of like being attracted to someone, but then like finding out that they're trans and then thinking that's bad or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like,
So,
well, I can't hate me forever, so I have to hate you instead. This is your problem.
mhm.
You need to stop doing the things that make me attracted.
Because how dare
It's all
you?
your fault. Which is the same problem they have with women wearing certain things. Is like the problem isn't that I hate myself for being attracted to you. The problem is you shouldn't be so attractive out loud.
Right. But speaking of like being your own person and doing things your way, so I don't know if we've officially entered like second drink territory, but
Yeah,
I'm in second drink territory. So
yeah. You wanna be done with Turek because I mean, they're not gonna get any smarter.
yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm afraid like he's just gonna. I was about to say, oh yeah, we need to stop that because if I keep watching, it's just going to get me pissed off. But then I'm remembering what other video we have to watch. And, so to prepare myself for that, I'm going with the Atomic Torpedo IPA. It's the Imperial version. It's up to a 9.2% So I feel like I will need all 9.2% to get me through what we got
that's a
coming
big
up. Mm-hmm.
Well, I still have the ginger beer. This is Gosling's ginger beer, regular. Oh, it's
Yeah.
called Stormy. Or is that the name of the seal? I think it's the name of the seal, but it's trademarked. I'm very
Right.
confused.
Yeah, and also for those who aren't familiar, so people have been following along with our little personal life backstories. Didn't even mean to do that. It's a pun, but it works.
What?
So Matt's been having back issues. Recently had surgery, so he can't be drinking any alcohol. So maybe that's
Yeah,
partially
'cause-
why I'm doing like the stronger stuff. I'm basically drinking for two now. I'm gotta pick up your
Yeah.
slack, which I'm happy to do, and you're welcome. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being off of the. Well, it's the one pain medication for sure. I can't have alcohol with that, but then the muscle relaxer. I think just like alcohol makes like those alcohol and that make each other stronger. So I would just be
Ooh,
kind of
symbiotic.
a sleeping noodle if I did that.
That actually sounds fun. Anyway, all right, and also like again, anyone in the crowd there, you're cracking open the second one, or just still on your first. So like, let us know what you're drinking this evening. Yeah. All right.
Switching
speaking
up
of
a
second,
little bit.
what's that?
You intro in the next video.
Yeah. So let us know what we're in for here.
Okay, so switching things up a little bit. This is more of the political angle of the fundamentalist stuff. Not really much or any Jesus stuff in this video, but that's the vibe. So this is Fox News has a guest on from Moms of Liberty or whatever the fuck it's called. They are grassroots, but they really have a lot of funding from some rich people. I forget who it is. No, it's not the Koch brothers. Anyway, she's giving her spiel about why Pride Month should be renamed. It's something else. I don't know if she means replacing the name of it or giving the month a competing name. But she's being lame and stupid.
Those right wingers love their competition.
But what's really interesting to me about this is that the person who's being interviewed, she definitely seems to be aware of the facts, but has a very different take on it. Like the way she gets it to fit into her narrative, her story of reality is just really interesting. It's like watching an alternate reality play out.
Well, fun. So also have you watched the whole video, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay. I have not seen any of this, so
It's pretty short, isn't it?
4.5 minutes.
Okay.
But I'm scared. I think I haven't actually watched Fox News like in years, other than like what little I may have caught like when I'm visiting my parents. But
yeah, it's what you would expect from Fox News.
Oh, good.
But I thought it was pretty revealing of the reality that they think is happening.
I'm just trying to look like when was this?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
I don't see a date or anything on it. Anyway, sorry.
It's probably fairly recent.
Yeah,
probably in the last year or two.
All right. Well, let's get this over with.
Okay.
Well, tomorrow is June, and many people say that it's the start of Pride Month. But one organization wants to change that. Moms for Liberty wants to make June Parental Rights Month.
What's that?
Many people call it Pride Month. It's It's not that it actually is Pride Month. It just is.
Yeah, like many people call it Pride Month because that's what it's fucking called. like, like.
Yeah, Moms for Liberty is a super conservative. Get God into schools, get LGBTQ plus stuff out of school.
Yep.
Super aggressive. They are a pretend grassroots organization.
As this year marks the 100th anniversary of Pierce versus Society of Sisters, the landmark Supreme Court decision that enshrined parental rights in America. Let's bring in Wisconsin ambassador for Moms for Liberty, Scarlett Johnson.
I'm actually not familiar with that Supreme Court case. Do you know anything about that one, Matt? Or...
No, but I think it strikes me as,
or if anyone in the chat knows, let me know. Yeah.
As like their important replacement event for the Stonewall thing, Stonewall rights.
Right. Yeah, I just didn't know like what that Supreme Court case actually was, like what the ruling was about, or
I think she might get into it.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Or at least what she thinks the application of it is.
No. Well, I guess I should let her cook. I mean, because this is Fox News, and she is a woman, because that's apparently what they're supposed to do. Ha ha! That was a joke. that was a joke, everyone. Satire. Oh, but apparently, according to Derek, like even comedy will get you canceled these days. So
yeah, I guess even comedy gets canceled these days.
Fucking douche nozzle. Anyway, okay.
Good morning, Scarlett. So great to have you on Fox and Friends. So tell me where this idea came from as far as changing it from Pride Month, making the emphasis on parental rights.
Hi, Rachel. It's great to be here. As you stated, we are celebrating on June 1st the 1925 Supreme Court decision, Pierce versus the Society of Sisters, that affirmed the fundamental right of parents to direct their children's education. And that truth remains the cornerstone of our mission today at Moms for Liberty, and especially worthy of honoring a century later, because right now, America's in the midst of a fundamental struggle.
So, yeah, you can already tell that she's framing it as something they need to educate out of kids.
Yeah. Also, like, speaking of framing, I just couldn't help but notice, like, she had a lot of headroom in the shot here. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's just a personal thing, though. But yeah.
Yeah. They'll do that.
Yep. Rookie mistake. Hey, she's not a professional videographer. It looks like she just at her home and she set her camera up herself. Because I guess kind of pro tip, because I did. This is something I did actually study in college. It seems like most people, like when they're framing shots, they for some reason, like people who aren't as experienced, they just think, oh, face needs to be like centered, but they don't like so here. But really, like if you look at most like professional shots, like the face is actually usually like higher up in the frame. I mean, kind of like how me and Matt are now. So but if I like actually centered my face, like you see how weird that
uncomfortable.
Looks?
Yeah.
Yeah. So pro tip, when you're setting up your own shots at home, or like whether it's like on these kind of calls or just like taking your own videos or photos or whatever, proper framing. Not that you don't need that much headroom. You really don't. Anyway.
And the question remains, are children the mere creatures of the state, or do they belong to parents? And when Wisconsin middle school classrooms are...
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have kids. Like you have kids, Matt.
That's a false dichotomy.
I think my kids, they kind of belong to themselves.
Yeah. Also, this whole belonging thing, that's property language. That's very Bible language, Old Testament language for kids.
Yeah. Yeah, the way I like to phrase it is like, I don't own my kids, I steward them. Like,
yeah.
Like I'm not here to like control them. I'm here to like guide them and like protect them, in case what they need. And you might like fortunately they're getting a little older, so they're both teenagers now. So my role in that aspect is a little less, but I'm still here. One of my favorite ways I've heard it put is because like the human brain, I guess, doesn't like fully develop especially like in the frontal cortex with like, judgment and reasoning until you're like in your mid-20s or something. Yeah, neurologists in the chat, please correct me or tell me how awesomely correct I am, whatever the case may be. But my favorite way I've heard of parenting like being framed as is essentially you're loaning your children your frontal cortex until they develop theirs. So, but for the rest of it, it's like as far as like as their personality is developing and like who they are, what they think, it's like that's up to them. I mean, they're people. They're just smaller and have slightly less developed brains and such. But yeah.
Adorned with signs like, if your parents aren't affirming of your transgender identity, I'm your mom now, and safe space stickers.
Let's back that up a little bit. I want to.
Yeah, she's just starting to get a little irate.
And I think she's about to make me get a little irate.
Adorned with signs like, if your parents aren't affirming in middle school classrooms are adorned with signs like, if your parents aren't affirming of your transgender identity, I'm your mom now, and
that's not. Yeah. But I also don't think that's what the sign said.
Right, but I mean, but I have seen that like on like T-shirts that like people wear to like pride festivals or this like other situation, or people just post about it online and stuff. But yeah, I mean, because again, I am saying this as a parent. It's like if I am not properly fulfilling my role as a dad to them, and they need to find that role in someone else, then that's what they got to do.
Because it'll happen anyway.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I want to see if she gets to this aspect, because there's another thing about this I want to comment on, but I want to see if she brings this part of it up first.
And safe space stickers adorn classrooms, thousands of classrooms across America.
Safe space stickers. Like,
yeah, the reason why she's offended about this is more of the same, but feels like a stretch. She'll explain.
Implying that parents are no longer safe. They aren't the safe space. The family home is not the safe space.
Yeah, because newsflash, sometimes they're fucking not.
Right. This is where I realized she's just saying facts. She's saying facts as if it's ridiculous things. Like it's just
that's basically like that's Fox News fantasy. Basically. Yeah. That's basically Fox News. Yeah, they'll just say like, this is a fact and we're upset, and everyone else is like, it's
like, and home's not a safe place for them, and there's nowhere safe for them but that classroom. And it's like, that's true a lot of times.
Yeah, because it's
that's why the stickers are up.
Yeah, it's essentially, and depending on like how it's worked, but like it can basically work out to being a form of victim blaming. It's like, well, if this kid isn't feeling safe at home, then that's somewhere. Well, it's because the kid's doing something wrong,
or something's wrong with the kid. It's not that something's wrong with mom and dad, or the living conditions or whatever. It's their fault.
Yeah. Now, and this is saying something, Jimmy, but I don't disagree. And she's only just getting started, so I have a feeling.
Well, she's the spokesperson, one of the spokespeople for the organization. So, like, yeah, she is the most communicative loon out of the bunch.
Hopefully, it's not communicable.
And actually, government, the state, classrooms, those are the safe space for children.
Yeah, sometimes they are.
I mean,
here's the thing. Now, I like to refer to myself as a like recovering anarchist, so I'm still in a lot of ways like sympathetic to, a lot of distrust that people have for the state, or a lot of like cynicism or whatever for it. So, I mean, I get like how the thought of my children feeling more comfortable in some like state institution, even if it is a school, versus how they are at home. Yeah, ideally, I would say like, yes, I want my children to feel safer with me at home than really anywhere else, government institution or not.
Mm-hmm.
But it's treated, but so yes, that is ideal, like for a good, like healthy, like home and family structure. But if that isn't the safest, if that isn't where they feel the safest, then it seems like they're taking the wrong approach. There's like, well, if they don't feel safer at home, then that's their problem. And so basically they need to be convinced that home is a safe space, where the approach should be me as the parent saying, oh shit, how did I fuck up? How can I make the home a safe space now?
Yeah.
So this is something I've been kind of waiting for her to get to. So I don't know if she's going to say this specifically, but I'm kind of done waiting on her because she's pissing me off. But with things like there, one of the things that comes up a lot is like if children do discover, I think I might be trans, or like I use different pronouns, or I want to go by a different name now. So at school, but they're not comfortable saying that to mom and dad at home because they know they'll like flip all the way the fuck out. But when they're at school, they say, hey, I actually prefer to go by this name. These are my preferred pronouns. Oh, and don't tell my parents. Like, so there's this attitude from all these like parent groups who are like, oh, how dare these schools keep this information from their kids' parents? Like, we're their parents. We deserve to know. But again, saying this as a parent, like if I were to find out that one of my kids was using like different pronouns, different gender identity, different name, whatever at school than they were using around me, I wouldn't be mad at them. I would feel like I failed as a parent because I did not make myself a safe person for them to share that with.
But see, the angle they're coming at it from is someone has convinced them that home is not a safe place. Someone has convinced their children that what their parents are doing is hurtful. Because the parents believe what they're doing is not hurtful. They think this is how you help. And their kids telling them, no, that's not how you help me. And they're like, well, you used to agree with me. And so someone must have changed your mind. Because they've been thinking about their kids as like this empty vessel that they just put stuff into to make the person they want to happen.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's why they say like if you want to have kids but you're not comfortable with the idea of having like a gay kid or a trans kid or a kid that grows up with a different like religion or philosophy or political views and you're like on and on down the list, like if you're not comfortable with that, then just don't have kids. Like straight up.
Yeah, like, you can't determine that on you can't, that's not up to you.
Yeah, because you got to think of like having kids is like you're not having kids so they can be like your kids, like your possessions. Like, no, you're thinking like you are bringing into the world new individual people. And your parenting approach needs to be, and I'm not saying this because I'm some perfect parent as if I've mastered all this. Like, yeah, I fucked this up just like anyone else does, but I at least try
Tommy used to have 3 kids. I mean, 2 out of 3. So like, he's improved. But
yeah, there's reasons we don't go back to the San Diego Zoo. I mean,
oh no, Harambe!
No, that was this. Not too soon enough. Anyway, but
what?
I don't know. But yeah, if you're going to have kids, you have to approach it as I am bringing new individual people into the world. And my job as a parent is to make sure not that they're the best version of my offspring.
Yeah.
But that they are the best version of who they are.
Yep.
So if I as a parent have created an environment where at home they are not comfortable telling me what they really like, how they really view themselves, like what names, pronouns they go by, what their identity is, but they're more comfortable saying, like, being open about that stuff somewhere else. Like, again, my reaction shouldn't be to be angry at that other space that they do feel comfortable. My
Yeah.
would be like, what did I do to fuck up, and how can I make this right? If I can make it right, maybe like, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's the angle. That's the way to go.
so and again, I'm saying this as a parent, and I love my two kids like literally more than anything else in the entire world, and like in my family growing up, like I love my parents, love my siblings, like all that. So I get like how awesome it is to have a good family structure and how important that is. But one notion that I've completely gone away from is how, I don't know if completely gone away from is necessary, but basically just assuming that like no matter what, like the people say things like, well, family is family. Like, it doesn't matter if you like them or not. It doesn't matter how they treat you. They're your family. Like, you got to stick close with your family. It's like, well, yeah, again, ideally, but I mean, sometimes no, you don't. Like, even the phrase that's often thrown around with this is blood is thicker than water. And they'll say that means, oh, because like blood, oh, your blood relatives, like that's thicker. That's like what's really strong. But here's the thing. That's not the full quote. And once you hear the full quote, like the meaning that people usually take from it is actually completely opposite. So, Matt, are you familiar with what the full quote is and like what it really means?
I think I've heard it, but had forgotten.
Right. So I'll get to the full quote, but first I want to get to Jimmy agreeing with me. But yeah, agree with you, Tommy. It's the parents' responsibility to provide a safe space for their children. This popular attitude of blaming other people for their fuck ups is beyond tired. Absolutely, buddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the whole blood is thicker than water thing. The full quote, and again, I don't know this exactly word for word. Again, look it up. But it's something like the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of birth or the water of the womb.
Mm.
So what it's actually saying is the complete opposite to how people usually use it. Because like they thought, like the blood of the covenant, I think it was originally used in the context of like soldiers or people taking like blood oaths with each other.
It
and
could
saying,
also be
okay,
like a reference to when they would like split an animal in half, and
yeah,
then you would
blood
both pass
covenants, like all
between it.
kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically what it's saying is the covenants or bonds or relationships that you choose to enter into are stronger than the ones that you're just born into.
Yep.
Now, again, ideally, yes, your bonds with your natural family, if those are really like is a great thing to keep strong. But the thing is, and this I guess my message to anyone out there is like, and I know this is not an easy thing that I'm saying here in ways that I don't even fully understand. Because like I said, I'm so fortunate enough that this is not my situation. But for those of you for whom this is the case, where you are not comfortable and you are not at home, like with your immediate family, like your natural family, the people who you are like genetically related to. If other people feel more like family to you, then they are more family to you. Like I said, as much as that sucks, if that is your reality, and I also understand for a lot of reasons, for a lot of people, it just doesn't make sense, or they just really can't separate themselves from their natural family, and that, like, and my heart goes out to you for that. But I guess my message is don't feel guilty that you feel that way, or that is the reality, because that's not your fault.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to put that out there to combat all this bullshit. So
What else?
Yeah.
What else does she have?
yeah.
we believe that is absolutely wrong. And just because a parent doesn't conform with this anti-scientific view that a child can change their biological gender on a whim or
Okay.
their biological sex.
On a whim. Like, this is bullshit. Like, it's not.
Yeah. It's like, tell me you don't understand what these people are going through without telling me you don't understand. It's like, ask any person who's trans or has like changed anything significant about like their identity as assigned from birth or how they were raised or how they grew up. It's like, that was all just on a whim, right? Like, yeah, the hell that you've probably been put through because of these changes in your life, but yeah, that's just a whim. Like,
I think this is one of those things that they don't let go of because it has to be true for their perspective to be maintained.
Right? Yeah.
It has to. It can't even be like a serious choice. It can't even be something that takes a lot of deliberation and like years of reflection, introspection, and because that's often what happens is how people like realize it is often a process, and
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
so they have to be dismissive of the process, which is something that once you hear what somebody goes through and like the difficulty and how much better life is now that they're out and conforming to who they are instead of how people think they should be. Um, that's all the stuff you can easily empathize with. So you have to hand wave it away. You have to say that it was a whim or just like willy nilly. I'm a boy today. I'm a girl today. Like that kind of shit.
right. Yeah.
They're avoiding empathizing.
Because empathy is a sin. It's
Well,
one of the
yeah,
greatest
and
weaknesses we have. Yeah.
it's also what'll change your mind on this topic.
Right? Yeah. Because it's like, speaking from my own experience, and I know like this does, like my situation does not compare to like what the people we're talking about tonight are going through, but I think that just makes the point even stronger. Because like the closest thing that I've gone through with like what they've gone through, before I get to that, I'll tell you about these people who have come out and saying they regret transitioning. Well, it depends on the person, but I tell you this: a lot of the times, the hardships and struggles that people go through after transitioning is because of the community around them and how they reject them, and it's how people treat them. Like this asshole that we're watching right here. That's why it's a big struggle for them.
And there will
It's not big.
The amount of people who regret transitioning is extremely low.
Yeah. In fact, look up the numbers.
90s percentage. I think people who, without a doubt, their life is better now compared to people who, yeah.
Now, again, look up the numbers. Don't just take my word for it. But there is a higher regret rate among people who get pregnant and have kids than people who have their transition surgeries. So if you're going to tell me that means that having kids is wrong, feel free.
Excellent point. Points, Tommy.
So yeah, so again, so the people who like are having struggles like post transition, like first of all, I mean, like any surgery, like it's a big deal. I mean, Matt just had back surgery, not just had back surgery, but that's was not an insignificant event in your life. So I mean, you have some feels about that.
Oh yeah.
But, so we appreciate you being here, Hannah, and we appreciate the interaction. But like, please do some more research into this, and but research like reputable sources, like, because when people say things like do your own research, that doesn't mean just like look up things for yourself. And like, no, that especially if it's in an area, and I don't know what I have no idea anything about you, but if this is an area that is not your expertise, and this goes for any kind of topic where people say do your own research, if it's an area where you do not have expertise, doing your own research should start with looking up people who do have relevant expertise and seeing what they have found when they've done their research.
Yeah, like
Start
interviews
there.
with people who have
Yes.
done research,
Mm-hmm.
and not something that happens with sources more from the right side of things is they'll interview somebody about the research, but it's not somebody involved in the research. So it'll be somebody who's researched the research, and now you're getting that person's filtered version of the facts. And it's a much better idea to go as close to the source of the information as you can get. And you can actually get to like the full research papers online, because eventually they're published and they're public, at least from what I can tell. And you can read at the top of the research paper, like the abstract, which is kind of that's what it's titled, and it's just kind of a summary of the study. That's where you can find the lowest amount of technical jargon, just for like a regular person reading it. Because once you get into like the meat of it, you can't follow.
Yeah, and I probably should have. Maybe this would have been a good thing to put in the show description, but if I remember, I'll go back after we're done here tonight and put this in the description. But if people are familiar with the YouTube channel, A Genetically Modified Skeptic, he's done several great videos on this topic. But
excellent.
I remember, at least in one in particular, he included this basically like a Google Doc, just full of links to like actual like professional like scholarly research on the topic. Ton of great resources. So yeah, if I remember, I'll go find that link and put it in the show description or in the chat or something at some point. But yeah, definitely encourage anyone who's like wanting to look into it more. That'll be a great place to get some good information on it. So yeah. Again, thanks Hannah for interacting. Yeah. Let's. And thanks for distracting me from remembering that we're watching this.
Yay.
That's anti-scientific, and we as parents want to protect our children, and we do not co-parent with the government.
Yeah, no,
Do you want to protect your children? Okay, and also, I think it's fair. Is some bacteria better than the others? Matt, do you know what Ryan Lopez is referring to?
I'm unclear. What is happening?
Yeah. So Ryan, please clarify exactly what you think is fair. Yeah.
So what she just said about co-parenting with the government. Co-parenting is something you do usually with somebody you're no longer in a relationship with.
Yeah. I am currently co-parenting with my kid's mom. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it could be like a random one night stand, and then there's a kid, and then now you're going to co-parent. But like that, usually there's a relationship involved if you're going to say co-parenting. I thought that was really weird for her to say co-parenting. I know she's going for like a nifty little catchphrase, but is the government her ex? Like,
yeah. So Ryan's commented a couple more, but unfortunately, I'm not sure if it helped clarify. Like, that could be my fault. It could be the beer or the autism, or it's late and I'm working on little sleep. But I'm assuming do you want to protect your child? I'm like, yeah.
I think he's trying to take us on a metaphor journey where he gets to do a gotcha at the end.
Some cells are better. I mean, yeah. Sorry, Ryan. Like, I wish I was following where you're going on this.
I'm getting the vibe maybe he's going on like
I
best
don't know.
guess.
Well, yeah.
Trying to compare like trans people to bacteria. That's my best guess.
Well, apparently not on a shortcut. Okay. So,
also not what I said. All right.
So I guess he's taking
I'm
the
not
Jesus.
convinced Ryan is completely in our shared reality.
So maybe Ryan is just taking the Jesus according to the Gospel of Mark approach and being like purposefully obtuse.
Oh,
So,
okay. Well, I don't know.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Time for that.
Because if he spoke plainly, then we might repent and believe, and you wouldn't want that, apparently.
No, I wouldn't want that.
But yeah, sorry.
Got to stay hidden.
But Ryan, if I'm getting you completely wrong, if you do want to like more fully explain yourself, I am genuinely curious what you're actually getting at. But hey, up to you.
I certainly refuse to co-parent with the government, and frankly, that reversal of roles is entirely Marxist, as you well know. And those.
And
is it? I don't know that it is.
So they're framing this as co-parenting with the government. Like, no. Again, in this situation, that just means like you fucked up and the government's having to step in.
Yeah.
Like, so again, like I said, I am not saying that like the kid feeling more safe at school than at home. Yeah, obviously that is not ideal. Like, nobody wants that. But
I don't think.
But if it is the case, but if it is the case that the kid feels more safe at school than with home, then that's not the kid's fault. That's not the school's fault. That's you as the parent's fault.
Yeah.
At least in this case. Yeah.
It's an imagined thing where they think that the government is trying to get people to be gay and trans and queer, and it's all because they're trying to destroy the family. But that would destroy American society, and I don't know. The government kind of depends on everything beneath them running smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's their aim.
Yeah,
because they can't get anything more important done if things aren't running smoothly.
Right. Ed, real quick in the chat, still not following you, Ryan, but thank you, Jimmy. But yeah. As you were saying, Matt.
Yeah, nobody's trying to do anything to their children. It's not a conspiracy. It's just that like culture and humanity is moving on from the old normal, and there's a new normal. That's just what happened. Nobody's trying to force anything on you. It just you're surprised. You're just now living in a world where like your old normal doesn't fit anymore. It just happened.
Yeah.
Nobody planned it.
Okay, so apparently Ryan is just trying to understand gender. Well, it can be complicated, can be simple, I guess. But again, it's kind of hard to tell, like, from what angle or context you're coming from, like what your understanding already is. I mean, so I would say I try to help, but I'm not even really sure where you're at. But yeah. But
we have several new people.
Yeah, so this is something I'll agree with Hannah with. Yeah, I don't trust the government as far as I could chew it up and spit it.
True. I trust the government to do governmenty things as well. I trust them to attempt to do it better than I can.
Yeah, that's why, staying on top of them, making sure they're doing things for us.
Transparency is good.
Yeah. And also welcome to the chat, James. Just being decent people. That's something we said, something someone else said. I'm honestly getting a little lost. I'm not used to people actually interacting. I mean, we're professionals.
So you're saying that like, I was gonna hazard a guess. I guess you're saying like, just being decent people. Maybe is that sarcastic? I don't even fucking know.
Yeah. Well, let's see. But so Jimmy's up here with looks like a definition here. Gender, the male sex or female sex, especially when considered with reference to social and cultural differences rather than biological ones, or one of a range of other identities that do not correspond to established ideas of male and female.
Is that a definition of gender?
I guess.
So
Yeah,
was trying to learn about gender.
Yeah. I guess that's a definition. I don't know. Like really, like when it comes to like gender and sex, like really, like I said, I'm not an expert in any of these fields. So really all I care about is like if someone introduces themselves to me and they say, I'm a man or I'm a woman, I just say, okay. And that's all there is to it.
Often people will just, try to be themselves and won't announce things. Interesting. Ryan is now saying words that don't make sense but are pointless and distracting.
Yeah. I mean, if you're saying that's a historical norm, and like you're saying there's something wrong with that,
it's hard not to. Jimmy said it's hard not to look this shit up. I agree.
Yeah. Oh, it's not hard to look up, but it's also hard not to. Like if you really care, like it should be hard not to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I will say, Ryan, you're
intentional ignorance, pretty quickly.
Yeah, but we'll throw a warning there. Like Ryan, you're on thin ice, buddy. So, just letting you know. All right. So,
Ryan's
all right.
behaving like a chat bot.
Yeah, it's like they're words, but okay.
Those signs that you talked about are so shocking that those are in school classrooms. But I just read that there was a Pride kindergarten dance party in Minnesota. So these ideas are definitely being infiltrated into our public school system. Can you affirm that?
Yeah, we're letting
infiltrated.
We're letting kindergartners know that like all the different kinds of people that exist. It's like this is like all those people who say like simply just by saying I'm gay or I'm bisexual or I'm transgender, like, oh, this is like forcing sexuality on all their kids. Like if people are just like showing a picture, oh, like if they're a woman, to say, oh, here's a picture of me and my wife because like we're a lesbian couple and we love each other and whatever. Like, oh, why are you forcing this on kids? Like they never say this about if like a straight cis male shows a picture of him and his wife. It's like they don't say, "Oh, you're forcing heterosexuality." It's like no, they're just saying who they are and like about themselves. It's so the fact that they like any talk of different orientations or gender identities, if they're saying like that's sexualizing, it's like no, it's just like so I'm a straight cis male, but if I were gay and I had a boyfriend or a husband and I just shared a picture of the two of us, that'd be no different than if when I was still married, like I shared tons of pictures of me and the ex-wife. Like, but no one said, oh, you're forcing heterosexuality on everyone. It's like no one cares what you do in the bedroom. It's like, I'm just saying, here's the thing about me and a relationship I have. That's, yeah. Oh. So here's a comment that I find intriguing.
Yeah,
sorry for not being clear. Yeah, the indecency displayed on last week's episode disturbed me. I'm happy to hear there'll be more humanism today.
Cool.
I mean, I think we're being the same level of decent as we were last week, or indecent, as the case may be. But I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, but
um,
we would. I don't know. We're humanism adjacent, so yeah, you might find more
Yeah.
of that.
yeah, and I'll be honest. Like, I tend to refer to myself as humanist, but like every now and then, I'm like, a lot of people really do kind of suck. So I go back and forth. Yeah. Anyway,
Oh,
but thanks for all the
geez.
interaction in the chat, everyone. That's definitely helping the algorithm, even if I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. That's cool.
From that, besides this kind of these kinds of signs that you're saying are around our classrooms?
There's so much that I could affirm. We could be here for hours, Rachel.
Oh, that's so good to hear that like, there's so much that these schools are doing that are helping children.
Yeah. So much they're doing to try to help people be themselves and feel safe and feel loved and
yeah.
I don't know, all the things that you probably would want people to feel. But they need to know the truth and live the truth, and they need to know that the way I see things is the way it is, and they should be however I think they should be because they're my kids. And never mind who they really are.
Yeah, but or because based on the comments, I don't really care being this petty, but as the line says, it's Perda Mutton. So
Pride Month.
no, Matt, don't misinterpret him. Take him at his word, like what he exactly wrote. Don't misrepresent him. Don't be uncharitable. Like he said, it's Perda Mutton.
Well, good work, Ryan. You're almost good with words. Keep
All
trying,
right. But
you'll get
but
there.
actually don't. Like you're done, my friend. So anyway,
did we acquire trolls from our last video? Like they're here to. What is it with that whole group where like people can't just defend themselves? Like we need to go defend them. He defended the one guy, and now we're gonna defend him, and that's what we do.
yeah. Which
Look,
keep watching.
If their ideas can't stand on their own, and it needs minions to come and like be in the peanut gallery to make noise, like maybe it was a weak argument. Also, maybe you need better things to do. But just
but what do we know? We're in a cult.
Oh, the engagement is always great.
Yes, I mean, thanks.
Like you're welcome to be here until you're too much of a dick to hang around.
Yeah, which you were. So had to do things anyway. All right, let's.
How much is left here?
Got another minute and a half ish.
All right, let's see if we can plow through it.
All right.
What I've seen in Wisconsin and what has been replicated across the country, there are very rural areas of Wisconsin where parents are struggling with the transgender ideology and what is happening to kids as.
Well, look, if people in rural areas are struggling with like transgender ideology, like I said,
maybe that's because it's a human thing that happens everywhere.
Look, or if they're maybe I'm just thinking more if they're just struggling to understand it. Like I said, like if any of them, if rural Wisconsinians or however you identify are watching, like I said, later I'll put in the show description a great link to a lot of awesome resources about like understanding like transgenderism and transitioning and all the struggles and different psychological things that are going on with that. So yeah. If any of you are watching, please look for that. Like I said, as soon as we're done here, I will try to get that linked in the show description or chat or something. But yeah, I want to get that information out there. So for anyone struggling with it, it's okay. Resources are available. We're here for
Operators are standing by.
Bye. Make your pledge donations now to receive this nice, beautiful tote bag.
As young as in kindergarten. What you're talking about.
People as young as in kindergarten are like learning about different kinds of people.
Well, okay, from her point of view, it's a choice, and therefore you can be indoctrinated to be like gay, trans, whatever. So
But I mean,
she's like,
it's
we're
also
trying
a
to save the
choice.
children, and people are trying to make them trans. And
But it's also a choice to get like straight married. But they're completely fine with all these teachers talking about their wives, talking about their children, talking about their husbands if they're a woman. You know, yeah. Well, sorry, Jimmy, but there's still more video, so we hope you'll still stay tuned. But yeah, so full of shit and good grief. I'd rather fall into an outhouse toilet and listen to this nutbag again. Well, hey, like I said, please do not throw yourself into an outhouse toilet, but there is more. I mean, we got to do something to,
I
round out the
I think
rest of the show.
it's just really interesting to me that they're convinced they're the good guys. And they're the one, like, facts, the truth is on their side.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you were talking about when you like describe this as like they're just living in a different reality.
Like, and then
But
she knows some facts, like she's aware of what's happening, and
yeah,
for her to say that it's scientifically whatever, that was a bold move, like scientifically not appropriate for people to be trans or whatever. That was a bold thing to say, and she didn't. If I remember right, she hesitated a little bit while she was saying it because the science really shows something different than what she's saying. I don't know where she's getting science backs things up.
Well, we appreciate you sticking this one out with us, Jimmy. Thank you for your service. And also thank you for your service, Jimmy, a Air Force vet. So, man. See, but here's the thing. This was what was earlier making me do this kind of gesture. It's like
like fetal position, cover the face.
Yeah,
like,
I used to think like this too. That's the thing that like for me like really sucks about this. It's like knowing that's where I used to be.
I don't think I didn't feel like I had any context for what was happening when it became possible for people to be openly trans. Or more possible. I didn't know what to do with it. Didn't know what to do with it.
Because I at least, I mean, obviously for people who know my backstory, I grew up like pretty like fundamentalist Christian. So when it came to things like homosexuality, bisexuality, or like we used to call it like transsexual was term, or just like, or there were people like transvestites, where like, okay, they aren't a woman, but they're just dressing, or like, people like drag queens or whatever. Where it's like, oh yeah, that's obviously like an abomination and sinful and all this stuff. But at least by the time I became aware of transgenderism, like I think I still was a Christian at the time. And so but I think fortunately I deconstructed enough where like I never felt like any sort of like antagonism or like aversion or think, oh, that's super sinful. I think if anything, I was really more just confused. Like I just didn't understand it. Yeah. So I didn't really know what to think of it. But now that I actually have learned more about it, including, getting to know people like in that community and like, oh, this is what it's like for you. This is what, it means when you identify this way. It's like, so yeah. I mean, I think that's one great thing is like actually getting to know some people, but even that can be like kind of fortunately, like people I know who like in that community are very open with like answering questions, but it's kind of like, you kind of have to be careful and like balance it well. Cause like, yes, the best way to learn about people in a certain group is to get to know people in that group. But then also at the same time, it's like people in that group don't necessarily owe it to you to like answer all your questions and like be super vulnerable with you. You kind of also have to remember that aspect of it as well. Like it's totally up to them, however much of their life they want to share with you.
Because there is something about, if you're coming from the more conservative angle, especially where you thought it was sinful or a problem to be trans, because that side has already talked a lot about people's genitals. There seems to be a the line of decency in question asking of trans people seems to be on the other side of the line of decent for some reason. People will start to ask questions about like just real personal questions, like medical questions, anatomy questions. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Questions
So, yeah.
they wouldn't ask a cisgendered person.
Right. Yeah. So like I said, like I'm like friends with people like in that community, but it's like there's even like some of the like different like identities. Like I feel like I don't fully understand. Like, but it's like yeah. So I know a person in that community, but like yeah, I don't know everything about them. But also like because it's anyways like it's none of my fucking business. Like they'll let me know. So hold on.
We had a pretty long paragraph.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, it's not even all showing up. Like, so he's replying to himself. I think it's just awful how you guys went after Matt. Who's Matt? I mean, this is Matt.
I'm a Matt.
Did
Hello.
we go after? Like, did someone go after you, Matt? Or
no?
Like, did he?
What?
All right, so go after Matt and his wife, his children, and for what? Having some guy on his program? Yes, he said bigoted thing. Did he mean this? Like, do you mean Derek?
Oh yeah, this is a grievance paragraph about our last show.
Yeah, so
I think he meant to say Derek and said Matt instead.
Yeah. All right, so I'll just well, so here I'll read through it. So Matt, if there's any thoughts you had on like the current what we're talking about while I read through the comments, see if what?
Tommy, did I lose people?
Yeah. No, I'm still here.
What the fuck is happening?
I can hear you. You're still here.
Did I freeze up?
You're not frozen on my end.
Everyone hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. So don't say anything too embarrassing. But all right, well, while Matt's figuring that out, I'm just going to kind of read through this comment. Like it's not all going to show up on screen. All right. Awful the way you guys went after Matt. I think he means Derek. By extension, his wife and children. And like, we didn't go after, like, that was actually one of our critiques is how Derek was framing that all as everyone going after him and going after his wife and children. And like, and we thought that's just bullshit. Like, I don't have anything against his wife or children. That's just ridiculous. Sorry, Matt's messaging me. All right. Yes, he said bigoted things. Yeah, there's no defending that. Sure. I mean, it's awful how you people on the left.
Can you hear me?
Oh, he's back.
I'm back.
Yes. Yay. All right. So I'm just reading through James's comment here. He's saying how he went after. I'm assuming by Matt he means Derek. Mm-hmm. I'll just put like this portion of it, whatever fits on there, like. And by extension, his wife and children. I was just saying, like, no, our problem was how he was making it. Like, people going after him or going after his wife and children. It's like, no, we don't have any problems with them. Like, he's the one who made that a thing.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I don't know. He already kind of tanked his own livelihood a bit. We're just commenting on it.
Yeah. So here, Matt, so if there's any other thoughts you had on like the video we're watching as I just kind of read through this comment and see if there's anything else I want to respond to, but
yeah, I don't know. The whole thing about it doesn't meet our definition of ideological purity. I don't even know what the fuck that means. I don't need to hold anybody to anything. That's not at all what we were talking about. And dude, did you watch any of it?
Yeah, and also, am I on the left? Actually, I don't really identify with anywhere on the political spectrum, but
I guess we're left of where Derek is.
So yeah. Well, I meant like if you had any thoughts on the video we're watching while I read through this, and then see if
yeah,
there's
go
anything
ahead.
worth responding to. Yeah.
I don't know. This person's not saying anything new in the interview. I thought it was interesting that it's still the same topics, still the same talking points, and they're just like they don't know what to do with like classrooms being safe spaces for their kids. And it is spreading. Like more and more teachers are like, yeah, I want to openly be a safe place for trans kids, or anybody on the queer spectrum. Like it doesn't matter for everybody. Everybody belongs. Remember when that was super offensive recently in the news?
Yeah. Right.
I don't know. Kind of seems pretty Sermon on the Mountie.
Yeah. So. All right, so I do want to. So, like I said, I was reading through your comment here, James. It's like I get. First of all I can say is thanks for the interaction. You're helping with the algorithm, but like so much of what you're saying here is like I literally have no idea what you're even talking about. Like saying last week there was misogyny on this channel. Like when did we ever even really talk about a woman, much less in a derogatory or misogynistic way? I mean, the only women I even remember bringing up was Chrissy Hansen, and we didn't really say much about her. And then Derek's wife, I think all we said was that we don't really know much about her and we don't really have a problem with her.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about Derek.
And honestly, like...
I mean, sorry, I assumed he's a man. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But even if he was a woman, like nothing we're saying was misogyny. It was just saying, here's some things he said we disagree with. Here's why we disagree with it. Like,
yeah. I think there's a misunderstanding of what that word means.
Yeah.
And as far as going after words, like his wife and kids, honestly, like I don't want him to lose his livelihood because of this. I would prefer that his channel adapt and he continues to do well for himself and his family.
Yeah.
I think that's possible. Looks like he might already be working on it just from what I saw, and he's trying out some new things, seeing what works, I think. And I don't know, it's difficult situation. Sounds like it sucked for him. Not super excited that it sucked for him, except for like what he's like, I don't know, maybe fuck people a little bit. Like maybe I don't care about people. That kind of stuff. That I don't know. That could be ridiculed some.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I was about to like say some more about what James here was saying. I think Jimmy summed it up pretty well. Yeah, these troll comments are so indicative of the bad things about social media. These people are so dishonest. Yeah, because I mean, all these things that this person is saying about our episode last week, I'm wondering, did you actually watch the episode, or are you just listening to what other people are saying about what people like us have said in response to Derek? And I'm like,
it's almost like you're reading a script of like attributes you think everybody on our side, in quotes, thinks when we all act the same, and no, we left the group think behind.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, because that's the thing. If I was a person who was all into groupthink and just like following the crowd and everything, like I would still be a Christian. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, it's real funny to accuse somebody who deconstructed of being stuck in groupthink. It's just that's bullshit's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
so, as I like to
being in a groupthink environment, like physically hurts me.
Mm-hmm. It's like we're autistic. That shit don't fly. So all right. Well, is there anything else in this Fox News video that you want to like finish it up, or I feel like we're getting a little too distracted with the trolls and the I
think they're done. They've made their point.
Yeah. Man.
So Pride Pride Month is going to be kind of cool. How soon is that?
Yeah.
It's the end of the month, right?
Yeah, but real quick,
Yeah.
to address Jimmy here, yeah, I think I have to watch last week's episode. Yes, you do. I would assume you're not talking about our Derek. No, not Derek
Not at
Day.
all.
We are
No.
not talking about our man, the pod
No.
daddy. No, we're talking about Derek Lambert of the Myth Vision YouTube channel. There was it's a whole thing, man.
Yeah, there was some like community drama in this. So imagine. There's
Picture, if you will.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's kind of what appears to be kind of a ruthless group, or people with potentially ruthless attributes, in one group of the online atheist community. And then there's like a scholarly section of the YouTube community. I didn't realize my hand was on the camera so big. And they overlapped, and there was conflict in the way you might think. And there was some bigotry involved. There was bigotry involved where Derek kind of refused to disown not necessarily the guy who made the comments, but the comments themselves. Kind of like he was unable to separate the comments from his friend who made them, and he was platforming this friend, and then these scholars were like, "Well, I can't be on the same platform as this bigot guy because morals and shit, and also my career, bruh."
Yeah, I mean, plus also according to people like Dr. Kip, I heard him say on a Budget Scripture Saturday this past weekend, like according, and he would know more than I do. I'm not super familiar with this guy, Robert Price, but like from what Kip says, like even as a scholar, he's really not necessarily all that great either.
Yeah, he's a bit of a conspiracy theorist, as scholars go.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's basically
it got messy.
Yeah, but Derek, I guess, like is like really good friends with this guy. And he's like, I felt like he's been treated unfairly, so I'm going to put him back on my channel anyway, give him his platform back. And like all these other people who don't like it can fuck off or whatever. They're all in a cult, and they're all like, yeah. So yeah, it was a thing. So yeah,
and doing that kind of tanked his channel. So his fuck them video that we did a response to.
See, I don't know, because I actually went and looked back. I think his subscriber count actually went up since when I checked around when he made that video. So.
Oh no, I figured that would happen because he got his.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like I think his viewership started to drop off when the scholars left because.
Of that's right. That's right. Okay, I get you. I get you.
His fuck y'all video was his pivot to the right, and he's like, "I'll show you. I'll embrace the racist guy, and I'll get even more subscribers."
Yeah. Now, but also from what I can tell, maybe like the actual quality of the content of his channel is kind of tanking a bit.
Oh, it has, yes.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, Jimmy, go back and watch like this morning. It's not a short episode, even just the part where we talked about the video. But yeah, but according to some people who. Yeah, and according to some who were actually more closely involved in the situation, they seem to appreciate our perspective on it. So I think that's cool. That was nice to hear. So, but yeah, so again,
we've heard from supporters of the Derek guy, or I guess they're supporters of him. Some of them probably came from people who other commentary channels have way more viewers than we do. I think we're getting some of their people defending Derek, whose videos they probably don't even watch.
Yeah, and welcome, but for people like
my point is, there's stuff that they're bringing up that like we supposedly did wrong or were bad people for, has kind of been bullshit up to this point.
Yeah,
nobody has been able to give an example of.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like for James here or anyone else who wants to point out in any way we've been cruel or inhumane or misogynistic, Like, yeah, if you have examples, because here's the thing, if we have been any of those things, because we're decent people, we don't want to be those things, and we would like to correct that, even if it's something we did unintentionally. Like, yeah, so please, if you have examples, let us know, because if they are legit and we have been those things, we want to correct that. So put up or shut up. but I mean, keep commenting, because we appreciate the interaction.
Yeah.
So
Keep trying to put up.
but yes, but got to give shout out to our guy Derek, the Podfather. Yeah, good old Derek Day. He was on 2 weeks ago, like when Matt was out. He helped fill in a little bit, along with our buddy Jimmy and our other friend BS Lewis. Wanting to have Derek Day back on the show at some point soon, so watch out for that.
Yeah. We're probably talking about Gnostic stuff.
Yes, yeah. Also, be sure. Yeah, speaking of other friends, be sure to check out our buddy Jimmy Ligon here on YouTube. Like, this is his YouTube channel, Jimmy Ligon. Tomorrow night, same time, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, his show Unreligious. I pop in and join him on that from time to time. So, yeah, even when I'm not there.
I intend to pop in, but I always forget when it is. Even though I know, I forget.
Well, do better, Matt. Do better.
I'm an excellent.
But then also,
it's my ADHD. It makes me a jerk.
Yeah, we understand. Jimmy has the ADHD as well. But then on Fridays, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, our friends Derek Day and also other friend of the channel and just friend, Aaron Tomlinson, who we've had on a couple times. Him and Derek do a show on Fridays. It used to be Freeology Friday, but now it is the Gnostic Agnostic, which I am very intrigued to hear more of. So yeah, check them out. It's good times.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
that sounds good. I think I'll have that.
Ooh. And for links to their shows, if you go back 2 weeks ago in our episode, I think it was just called "Surprise Plans Changed" or something like that.
Yep.
You'll see links to Jimmy's channel, Derek's channel, and B.S. Lewis's channel, who also joined us that evening.
B.S. Lewis has good animation.
Yes, good commentary, good ideas. Yeah, he's cool. We might also have to have him on sometime. But and he also offered to have us on his channel, so look out over there for us.
Look out.
I guess.
Look out.
Oh. It's pejorative is misogynistic. The
term D-bag? Well, I don't know. I guess it could be like we are making a natural health thing seem like gross and yucky, and because it's a natural woman thing.
Yeah.
Misogynistic? No.
Yeah. So okay. Well, here.
Yes.
Okay. So here's my question to you: if we had not used that term, would you have had a problem with how we were addressing it? Like, was that the only issue you had? Or is that just something you're choosing to latch onto so you can feel like you're getting some on us?
I mean, if it is misogynistic, like for real, and that's what like a lot of women think, I could be like, oh, okay, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if something is misogynistic, like I said, this is maybe assuming your gender, but so if I'm incorrect, like James, I guess typically a male name, but if something is misogynistic, I would prefer to hear that from a woman.
Yeah,
but maybe that's just me. But like I said,
people say they don't like it or it seems rude, derogatory towards women. I don't know. Maybe that's what misogynistic means.
Yeah, but look, like
I'm doing this on my phone right now, so I can't use that.
Yeah, but hey, but if that's the worst example you can come up with, yeah. So, but okay, but let's say even if we were being misogynistic, and that was completely wrong of us to use that term, was our overall point not still valid? So if you want to go after that, feel free. But otherwise, this is just ad hominem, which
It could also be genetic fallacy because we're misogynists, so therefore anything we say can't be true.
Yes, that too. Anyway, well, I feel like if I keep going, I'm just gonna get more riled up about things. So
I think we solved it.
yeah,
Everything's fixed.
good job, everybody.
Everybody's trans
so yeah.
who should be.
Yeah. So yeah, at the end of the day, like
everywhere's a safe space. We did it.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, my message is like when people introduce themselves to you, just go with how they introduce themselves. Like again, like if I come to you and tell you, "Hey, my name's Tommy," it's like, do you need to check my birth certificate before you agree to call me Tommy, or are you just like, oh, you like to be called Tommy? Because, yeah, honestly, like that's not what my birth certificate says, but people seem to have zero problem calling me that. So unless they mishear me and they start calling me Tony, which I get a lot, which is amusing. But anyway,
that's weird. You don't look like a Tony.
Thank you. Yeah. But yeah, and other than that, like, yeah, just be decent to people. That's really all.
Bill and Ted,
Don't be.
excellent adventure.
Yeah.
Be excellent to one another.
To each other. Yeah.
To each other, whatever it was.
Yeah. Party on, dude. All right. Yeah. Well, that's all I got except for needing to pee. So.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, other than the whole, like, all the obligatory. Again, thanks to everyone for interacting in the chat. Like, subscribe, comment. Even if you're watching later, please keep the comments coming. Follow, subscribe, whatever, on what platform we're on. The Facebook, we're on the YouTube, we're on Twitch. Even though I still don't really understand how the Twitch thing works, but we're there. And we didn't even get our bot comments this week. Maybe something's wrong over there. Man. Maybe I blocked all of them already, and they just ran out. Anyway, yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Go back and watch other episodes. Like I'm still keeping up with my Sunday little shorter solo videos that I do, and just like different things I'm thinking about. Yeah.
I am gonna check if douchebag is misogynistic as a pejorative. I do want to look into that.
All right. Yeah, that'd be good to know if it is. But yeah. But either way, thanks for the interaction and comments and boosting us in the algorithm. But yeah, if you enjoy this, tell your friends, whether it's like sharing it on your social media or just word of mouth, whatever. We take all kinds. Well, mostly.
Everyone's welcome here unless you're gonna be a dick about everything. Dude, you can't just insist that it is a pejorative. I said I'm gonna look into it. You can't just be like, "Well, it is." So you're done looking.
Yeah. Looking into it does not involve like reading the comments on a YouTube video. Believe it or not. So if that's your level of like research prowess, it's a little sus. Anyway, but yeah, thanks everybody, and yeah, this was a thing. Thanks for being here for the thing. All right, take us out, Matt, before I keep rambling.
Things and stuff be forever with your people.
Good night, everybody. Have a good week.